betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
Naya, of course, in New York. Hey, Squad Goals. I'm Patrick Meagher, live from, as I look out the window there, a beautiful sunshiny day here in Los Angeles. And I should bring up the word beautiful because I just heard Steve Torrey beautifully waxing poetic about the NCAA tournament. A couple of things here. One, you got to know something about Torrey. He freaking loves college hoops. Like, if he could talk college hoops on Mad Dog Sports Radio in December, he would. Like, that's his sport. I have a lot of friends in Michigan that are insane when it comes to sports. And I got two friends in particular I'm thinking about that are obsessed with college hoops. Torrey's right there. Like, he genuinely loves it. You can tell, like, it takes a lot for Torrey to emote. But when he was just talking about the tournament and that Thursday and Friday, that was true emotion. And I'll tell you another thing. Because Torrey's the one that introduced, Torrey and Dog are the ones that introduced the family bets. And our Discord is called The Family Bets. And Dustin and I have kind of co-opted, and really in Vegas, we spread around the concept of family bets. Like tonight, the family play is going to be Xavier on the program. We'll get to that coming up in just a bit. First four. What up, big guy? He's got a boo. So Torrey, the idea that he's going with his son to Providence and his son and his friend group to Providence, to me, it's freaking tremendous. And I just texted him that before the show because that's the type of stuff you're going to remember for years and years to come. Those little trips that you take a lesson from Steve Torrey. That type of bonding with your son, daughter, where you're actually doing something. It's not in the same way where you're hanging around the house. It's just tremendous. And building it around ritualistically, building it around, something that you have passion for, like college hoops. I just love it. And I do love, I used to have a job that wasn't in sports. And for some reason I had to have a contract back then. And I had it put in my contract that I got the Thursday and Friday off. And these were people that weren't sports people. So they were like, why would you want this random Thursday and Friday off in March? And I'm just like, I don't really know how to explain it. But if you want the truth, I'm a degenerate gambler and I love college hoops, and there's games scattered throughout the day, Thursday and Friday. So I just liked it. Now that was back in the day when you couldn't legally gamble. So I was contacting people in Costa Rica. However, it was just, it's a ritual. And that is, I think when we come around to this time of year, it is the one time that it's a reminder of what sports are. Because like even the Super Bowl has become, and Dustin and I were discussing this last night, like if you go to Vegas and you're looking for an opportunity to just have the best time possible, it's the Thursday and Friday. If you want to go with your group of friends, it's the Thursday and Friday, and it's not even close. Because the Super Bowl, maybe you have the same experience where it's become like too marketed or something, where it doesn't feel as pure. It does not feel as pure. And there are few things now. I can tell you for me, the World Cup is one that is still pure, because it's on a global level and countries care so much about football and soccer. So that, to me, continues to be pure. But the NCAA tournament, even with, coaches jumping ship before their game, Will Wade, we'll talk about him, big guy, in a little bit, and players with the transfer portal and the lack of commitment, everything we bitch about. This entity that is the tournament still represents something. Kentucky Derby. You can jump in, big guy. Kentucky Derby. To me, that coverage of the Kentucky Derby, and then, into the Preakness, into the Belmont, that's still Americana. There is still a ritual associated with it. It still matters. It still makes you feel something. Am I on to something?
No, you are. There's something with college basketball that is so odd because we literally, outside of Steve Torrey and a few people, no one pays attention to the regular season. Everyone is experts on these teams because they popped an Adderall when the brackets came out Sunday night, and they just studied their balls off to figure out who's going to the Final Four. So it's this crazy disparity where regular season, you might check a box score here and there. You might want to watch Cooper Flag or Auburn when they're hyped up as number one. But for the most part, everyone is not watching these games day in and day out. And then secondly, I wonder if this event would be as big as it is and as popular as it is if college basketball's regular season was how it used to be, like when we were younger, when people were locked in as much. I know the event was always massive, but there's something about everyone kind of being on the same page. Torrey keeps joking that all these offices are going to have these tournament pools, and it's going to be like the 65-year-old grandmother in accounting who's going to end up winning it in the end, and there's something really nice about that when it comes to this. And then on your point about Vegas. So the reason why the Super Bowl stinks in Vegas is it's a one-game buildup for 2 weeks. And from a betting perspective, there's a lot of props, but they're weird. And the odds of you having a fun day on one isolated game, if you have a wrong read, it's going to be a rough day from a betting perspective. Now, college basketball, the thing is you have sides, you have totals, you have games tipping off back to back to back. They're ending at the same time. You're locked in on 2 or 3 at a time. You can bet the side. There's the first to 15s, which is always a sweat in every single one of these. But the thing about this event, it always delivers the upset. It always delivers the drama, and you can't always guarantee that with an event like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's well put. And you start to feel it's actually tangible, the energy in the casinos. You start to feel it build as the end of the game is coming, and then there's just whether people have action, whether people have interest in the schools, everybody gets into it. It is a captivating vibe. It really is. It's pretty fun. It's a lot. And we did stumble into something. I know you want to say, but 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646, those things that still matter in sports. I just literally thought about it and shout to Torrey for giving the inspiration here, but I said the World Cup, talk about the tournament. I love the horse racing, but the ritualistic stuff that still kind of has that special feeling like that Thursday and Friday of the NCAA tournament.
It gives you all the feelings that day baseball used to give people back in the day, but you're getting it like at work, Thursday, Friday, not paying attention. I'll still stand by my favorite invention when it comes to these types of things was like 15, 20 years ago, CBS Sports, when the internet was just coming up, they had a way for you to watch the games on your computer while you're working. But there was a button at the bottom that said boss. And if you clicked it, a fake spreadsheet would pop up and cover up the video of you watching the games. That lets you know how popular the NCAA tournament is. I can't think of anything. I mean, I love the NFL draft, and we're going to dive deep into that once this event's over. But there is no event in all of sports all year long that is as much fun and delivers every single year like the NCAA tournament. It's not close.
Well, you just made me think of one, because growing up, whether the Detroit Tigers were good or bad, me and my boys would go to opening day. Now, it may be snowing in Detroit. Shania knows. It might be beautiful. It was always so random what Mother Nature was going to perform. But we would definitely, that was a thing. I don't know if baseball is resonating like that. Only certain cities. So maybe it's lost a little bit of its luster.
No, I think it's cool, but I love opening day. But there's something about the drama with this event where like these dreams happen where this school you've never heard of in a city you've never heard of with players that you definitely weren't ever going to buy a ticket to watch during their regular season pull off this incredible moment. And you'll remember it for like when you watch a team upset someone. Like I remember you and I were at the VSiN studios when a 16 beat a 1 for the first time.
Remember when?
Yeah, we were at the VSiN studios. We were doing a simulcast, Mad Dog and VSiN, and you and I were just looking at each other like, This is ridiculous. Like, it wasn't over the top because UMBC beat the hell out of Virginia, but it was just, I'll always remember being there for that historic event. That's all.
Yeah, no, 100%. And even looking right now, Mount St. Mary's and American are playing each other for the right to play Duke. Like, that is,
well,
that's a cool dichotomy.
All right, if I'm going to do one criticism here of the NCAA tournament, I don't think 16 seeds should have to be in the play-in. They won their leagues. It's all about the little guy. I hate that we make the 16s play each other. We had one last night. We had one tonight. And then the scheduling's weird too, by the way. The teams that played yesterday or the teams that played today, the way they're playing Thursday, Friday, it's going to be a really short turnaround for them. That's my only knock at this event. I don't love the play-in part of it. That would be the only issue I have with the entire thing.
It looks like this kid Rogers for Mount St. Mary's or American got a terrible injury. I'm not going to watch the replay. I'm not going to watch the replay because it's like the Kevin Ware thing where he snapped his leg. I never watched it because that's just not my jam. This kid apparently he looks like he is.
I'm watching. Hang on.
So I hope he's okay.
He didn't come down on it. He was defending and he was going side to side. And when he landed, it looked like his ankle went sideways. Doesn't look good.
Well, he was reaching for his coach's hand to squeeze it, so that kind of got to me. That really did. Yeah, I don't know. Good job by Torrey though, because you could tell he was passionate. You could tell he was excited to be hanging with his kid, and it's like we do. Whether you're a girl or a guy, you do tie. Sports coming up with your parents. You do tie some of those seminal moments. I heard Al in White Plains with Torrey right before we came on. Al loves his son. I'm sure a lot of the memories that you build. My dad worked at the post office, and I can tell you one right now. My dad had his boys at the post office, and they worked the night shift. They took me to a day game at Old Tiger Stadium, and Jim Rice. That's how old I am. Jim Rice hit a home run to win it for the Red Sox. And then Dustin knows this story of maybe the next year. My dad would take me to one game each year. That's what they could afford. And he took me, and the Oakland A's were in town. And Stewart. Why can't I think of his first name? Dave Stewart, who was the most menacing. Like, he was the scariest human on the planet. Like, menacing. And me and my boy Kirk, okay? My dad took me and Kirk. We're screaming, Stewart! We were up on the second level, and we're screaming, Stewart, Stewart! He turned around, and I remember being petrified. But he turned around, and he pointed at my dad, who was standing next to us. And from the outfield, he threw to the upper deck a dart to my dad. My dad caught it and handed me the ball. That's not bad. That's pretty cool.
No.
But that is like that. I'm telling you, that's something that is resonating as I'm thinking about this tournament.
When you're a kid and you can leave the game with a baseball from the field, you don't care what happens in the actual game. That's an all-time life moment for any kid. Also, all-time great moment for Rodney Peete. Did you catch that this morning in the Dodger game? Rodney Peete, former USC quarterback, was in Tokyo. Foul ball down the third baseline. Muncie's going to catch it. He gets robbed by Rodney Peete sitting in the stands who brought his baseball glove to Tokyo.
What? Like that dude from the Cubs? Like, did he reach over and botch it?
He didn't know. It was in the stands. Muncie was reaching over to catch it. And Rodney Peete traveled all the way to Tokyo from Los Angeles with his baseball glove to catch a foul ball.
Rodney Peete married a lady I used to have a crush on growing up.
Hillary
Robinson? Was on like Hanging with Mr. Cooper or something.
Holly Robinson. All time.
Yeah, Holly Robinson. What up, boo? Yeah. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. So a couple of things. We've got our bracket challenge. I think you can sign up until maybe tomorrow over at VSiN.com. Listen to me. You think people get bitter with me? Oh, he's pumping all this. No. This is completely free, and you can win. There's $5,000 out there, and all you have to do is go online and fill out a bracket. It's free to enter. Showcase your handicapping skills for a chance to win $5,000. I mean, seriously, you're going to make 40 picks. I won't get into the details. You just go over to vsin.com/contest to sign up. You want another bracket? You want it free? You want a chance to win 5 Gs? That is what's up. And while we're talking about the YouTube page, and again, those that joined, thank you. And we got the chat there. You can involve yourself in the chat, get down with the show, let us know who you want to bet there. We are doing something very cool on the VSiN Live YouTube page, which is every single game played in the tournament. We're going to have a 60 to 90-second capsule. You just click the button, very succinct, very efficient. Who are you going to bet on? So you can go to VSiN Live on YouTube, and that's completely free as well. So make sure you get involved there. All right, big guy. So transition here. I don't know. That got me. You know what? It got me nostalgic. Speaking of nostalgia, like you sent a picture from, I guess, Facebook. I don't have Facebook because I'm not a part of my mom's peer group.
Okay.
But
bit of a low blow, but okay.
No, I'm just playing. I don't have Facebook, but apparently Facebook will say, hey, 7 years ago, this happened on this date.
Yep.
And Dustin, it was a great.
I'll tweet it out.
The picture.
I'll tweet it out on the Rap Radio.
Yeah, we'll tweet it out. It was a picture of me looking like a douche. Dustin looking
chunky.
No, I didn't think you looked chunky. And Steve Torrey, and it was 7 years ago. The only thing I could come up with was, if that's 7 years ago, I'm dying tomorrow.
I know.
The end comes fast, people. The end comes fast. Like, I remember conversations that were had when that picture was being taken 7 years, and I don't even have a great memory. But if that was 7 years ago, time goes by like in 10 seconds.
I mean, Steve Torrey still remembers how much money he lost each day of that trip with his $25 bets.
Yeah, it's $27.50 if he's stretching it. you know, you were frugal when you add the 50 cents. Like, either bet $27 or bet $28, not $27.50.
But in total fairness, I did not realize how many colleges he did eventually have to pay for following that and how much those colleges would cost. So I kind of understand it to a degree.
When I was coming up, they told me, don't get into radio because it doesn't pay. And I found that out very quickly. But there are people that get paid in radio, because if you're Steve Torrey and you send one daughter to Indiana, one son to Colorado, and another son to Alabama, that's all out-of-state tuition. I can't even do the math. But anyway, let's get it going. 888
picks up at the Rap Radio.
Okay, so yeah, our memory from 7 years ago at the South Point. Dustin just tweeted it out at the Rap Radio with a W if you'd like to go take a look at that. We've got Alex Caruso at the bottom of the hour. This kid is, I'm not being hyperbolic. He might be the best NBA prop better there is.
Well, and you're not, how do I say this? There's a lot of fanboys, especially in the betting space, that get really worked up over people. You very rarely get worked up over someone. Alex Caruso is on your short list.
I like the cut of his jib.
He is on your short list.
Yeah, I like the cut of his jib, so I'm excited to talk to him. Aaron Halterman, part of the family, is going to be joining. Scott Spritzer, also part of the family, professional handicapper, joining us as well. So a lot to do. We do have the Xavier Texas game coming up. It looks like Xavier's stretching out in the market a little bit. Up to 3, did you tell me? 3.5, maybe?
Yeah, I saw 3.5. Let me pull up my DraftKings here real quick, looking for that game. Xavier.
I got it. Oh, it's down to 2.5.
Oh, back down to 2.5. Total still 151.
X gonna give it to you.
This isn't even a debate. I don't know what we're discussing when it comes to Texas. This game is everything tells me it's Xavier, Xavier, Xavier. They've been trending upwards. Texas before the SEC tournament was a freaking mess. They lost 7 of 9 games. We got two teams going in opposite directions. I'm all about Xavier.
Yeah, and Samich, he texted X-Men tonight, family all over the place. The vibes are high. The vibrations are high right now.
Wait, is that the origin of vibes via vibrations? Is that the origin
Correct.
of it?
Correct.
Oh,
because kids these days, they talk about manifesting. Manifesting is on a vibrational level. Vibrations was then a derivation of vibes, or vibes was a derivation of vibrations.
I was told if I manifested too much, I'd go blind.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, 888-623-3646 VSiN Live. We say hi to Renee in New Hampshire. Hi, Renee.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. You know, you guys were talking about those special moments, and I remember in the 70s, the special moments were the heavyweight fights.
Yes.
And it was Muhammad and the Joe Frazier and Kenny and George Foreman. That was the big thing in the 70s, was going to the heavyweight fights. You know, I remember being at Yankee Stadium with Kenny Norton and Muhammad Ali, with all of the hookers and the John sitting, ringside.
Wow.
I mean, that's what we did. It was just crazy, but it was just the best, and it was New York.
That's a great one, Renee. Thank you. Listen, I always say this because when I got into horse racing, I did a lot. Like, boxing, horse racing, and baseball. Those back in the day, those were America's sports, and then obviously morphed into football. College football is as old as the day is long, but college football was very much in danger back in the day of being outlawed because people were dying. Won't get into that. So it wasn't an overly popular sport. Like the Americana was horse racing, boxing, and baseball. And I don't even know how I would order them, because a marquee fight, like she's talking, Joe Frazier, Philadelphia, Muhammad Ali, Louisville, Kentucky, like a marquee fight was what America looked forward to. Rocky Marciano, and you can go on and on. Like Joe Louis, there is, I don't know if I ever told you this, Dustin, but there's a fist statue in downtown Detroit, and at Hart Plaza. Hart Plaza is where, if the Red Wings or Pistons were to win a championship, everybody kind of congregates in a Hart Plaza. Hart Plaza, the main symbol of Hart Plaza is a bronze fist and arm, and it's representing Joe Louis. Joe Louis matters more to Detroit than Barry Sanders.
Oh, really?
And it's because of the residents and what Renee was talking about, like how important boxing was back in the day in America.
It's crazy how big those things were, because, I mean, more times than not, people weren't able to watch these events unless you bought a ticket and you were lucky enough to go there. So it is crazy, the popularity of sports back then, that people did know what was going on, and there was a vibe, a fan base for all these teams, because unless you're going to the event, the only way you know what's happening is reading a newspaper back then or listening to the radio.
Yeah, but it mattered because it was the original, like the Muhammad Ali's and Joe Frazier's and Ken Norton's, and those were the original, like, secretive stars. You understand what you'd read the paper about them. They were figures that mattered. Secretariat and on and on, baseball players.
But there also wasn't an oversaturation, and I'm not just talking from sports, just from entertainment in general. Like, that was the entertainment. That was get away from life, get away from whatever's going on, whatever's bothering you. Today, we just have so many overwhelming options, and I think that's what hurts a lot of sports, like college. Let's bring it back to college basketball. I think that is a big part of why college basketball's regular season isn't as popular as it used to be. It's not actually NIL and transfer portal and one and dones. That's just what people want to use to make an excuse. It's the fact that on a Tuesday night when you get home from work, you don't want to watch Creighton and Villanova in a random game. You want to put on Love is Blind. That's what's happening.
Yeah. But the tournament is bigger. The tournament still matters more than the teams and the players. That's
Yes.
what I'm trying to say. The entity of the tournament still matters and still is a thing. And before we go to break, I'll tell you this really quickly. I literally shut my TV off last night. Tell me, anybody, if you've had this experience. Peacock, Paramount Plus, Amazon, Netflix. I got to a point where I was looking for this documentary. I couldn't find it. I got pissed, and I turned off the TV.
You couldn't remember which one it was
because I couldn't.
on?
I'm like, I pay for all of this, and a lot of it I pay just for my niece and nephew. I can't even get into my own Netflix because every time I try to log into Netflix, they say too many people are watching this. You can't watch it. I'm like, it's mine.
Yeah.
But I don't do anything because Landon in Michigan, I don't want to hurt his, whatever. So
he might have a girl over
bitter.
that he's trying to impress. Watch something. So yeah, you can't.
And you know what the scary part? You know what the scary part about it was?
What?
What did I do? I just went to YouTube and watched the video. We have too many options.
No, there is no excuse to ever be bored right now, and I don't think that's a good thing for us as human beings.
We live in the worst time ever.
No, it is. It kills your brain. I literally walk around my apartment when I don't have TV on or something. I have TikTok on my phone while I'm walking around doing stuff, and I'm just scrolling through everything. I'm cooking dinner while I'm scrolling TikTok. It's nonstop, endless dopamine hits all day long.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. We're just trying to get that dopamine. Thanks a lot, Elon Musk, or whoever did this to us. All right, 888 Mad Dog 6. The tournament, Tori, family, we love it. All right, 888-623-3646. It's a fun conversation to start. When we come back, we're going to have our buddy Alex Caruso talking NBA and maybe a little college basketball as well. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, so I mentioned you can get the free bracket challenge. So again, there's $5,000 on the line, and literally there's no cost for you. Go to vsin.com/contest. Also, we just dropped the comprehensive guide. The guide's like 150 pages, bro. It's insane. VSiN's March Mania betting guide. You can get it for as low as $9.99 right now. Become a VSiN Pro. VSIN.com/subscribe. All right, we're back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, as well nationwide, streaming live on YouTube at VSiN Live. It looks like Big Guy St. Mary's did just beat American. So good luck with Duke.
No, it's halftime. That's halftime.
Oh, is it halftime?
But
Dude,
they're
I'm
up
out.
10, and they were the underdog. So they were catching 2.5 pregame. They're now laying 9.5.
Xavier and Texas coming up in a little bit. I can't wait for that Xavier matchup. But right now, a guy, dude, I love this kid. I do. He is taking. There is a new wave of sports bettors. Now, I'm an old man. Back in 2000, I was pouring through message boards. I don't even know if Alex and young kids know what a message board is at this point. They call that Reddit. But the new age of sports bettors, they fascinate me, and they're sharp. They're ahead of the game, metric-wise. They know what they're doing, and they're hammering props. And I don't think there's anybody right now better at props, literally, than Alex Caruso. NBA-wise, he's in fuego, at Alex Caruso on Twitter. Alex, what's up, man?
I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited. I mean, March Madness right around the corner right now, but right now we got a great NBA slate tonight, which means always a great time to make some money.
Do you like now you mentioned March Madness. You're up in Boston. I don't know if you went to a big basketball school, but do you get into the tournament every year?
100%. I mean, I grew up watching every single weekend growing up with my dad. I come home for the tournament to watch the opening round with my dad, no matter where I live, every single year. So I am not a college basketball fan, but I think the tournament is the greatest sporting event that exists.
So
Will you be betting? Will you be betting outside? Now, NBA obviously is your specialty, but will you be betting the tournament?
Yeah, I have to be betting the tournament. I mean, there's got to be some Sweet 16 futures that we're looking out for, like taking an underdog that's going to win 2 rounds. I mean, I already got my champion locked in that I'm betting on, so there's always going to be some stuff that I'm going to be finding.
Patrick mentioned it, like different generations approach this thing differently. Like Patrick's a few years older than me. I'm probably somewhere in between you two guys. I'm just curious your start into betting because you're so player prop focused, and there was more of an old school approach when Patrick first taught me about betting. It was sides and totals, and you really didn't delve into the props quite as much, but things have just kind of evolved as betting's become bigger and bigger across the country. What was your introduction into betting initially? Like how long ago was that?
It's probably four or 5 years now, right in college. Like when you're not 21, you're finding an offshore book that you got to use with a sketchy bookie that you're, sending money through email every week. That was definitely my introduction with just people in college. Like every Sunday, people would just sit and bet way more money than we probably bet now on games. You bet money that you don't have when you're in college. And then gradually over time, it was like, okay, how can I start posting this stuff? Because I think I'm somewhat sharp. And then eventually it was just posting every day until you grow enough of an audience to do it full time.
Yeah, and you can find those posts at Alex Caruso. It's a must follow on Twitter, people. Alex Caruso, Caruso. He gives out free plays every single day and sometimes sends people money as well. Dustin mentioned the proliferation of prop betting. As the menu has expanded, are you solely prop betting, Alex, or are you side and total ever?
I'm 100% prop betting. The sides and the totals have not ever really been where I went. I think the biggest edges for me personally are in prop betting because the markets can shift so quickly based on injury news, where the totals over and unders can be a little bit more stale, in my opinion, where, one rotation comment from a coach can change an entire line. And I think that's where you can find the biggest edges as far as, prop betting on any sport.
Curious about your process here, just because you mentioned the injury thing. That's like 90% of my entire prop betting in the NBA. Someone's out who benefits on either team in the matchup. But I check your page. You have your bets out very early in the day, and there's not always injury news to react to. So you're obviously looking at other things. Can you help our audience understand if they want to start attacking prop betting, what are they trying to focus in on to decide on what players to target?
Yeah, I think my favorite edge is honestly historical matchups. Like there's certain guys like Luka Doncic against the Suns has scored like 30 plus points against them for like 10 or 11 straight games now. Russell Westbrook against any former team he has played for automatically turns it up to another notch. Obviously, he's a petty player. I think that when you look at guys in historical matchups and teams that they played against a lot, I think those are my favorite place to target. My second favorite is definitely the sticky stats. NBA.com has passing assist potentials, which is my favorite market to touch this year because you can look at the last 5 games and how many times that people are shooting off someone's passes, and those are generally very sticky game to game. And when lines move up or down, that's a perfect place I think you can target those lines.
Alex Caruso joining us, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Let's get to a few of the plays. Yeah, we are at the break with St. Mary's up 10 over American. 48-38, the winner, the opportunity to take on Duke. Coming up later, we're going to be betting Xavier. X going to give it to you as a family. 2.5 right now, Texas, the winner, an opportunity to take on Illinois. Right now, talking with Alex, little NBA. The question Dustin asked about how you focus on prop in particular, one is the injury angle, correct? And Dylan Brooks, Houston, with Thompson out, this is a guy you go to, right?
100%. I mean, there's certain guys like Dylan Brooks, when Amen Thompson's out, Dylan Brooks plays a much heavier shooting role that opens up where he goes to the number 3 option instead of being the number 4 sitting the corner guy. I mean, he's over his 13.5 line he had today, 11 of his last 15 games without Thompson. Last time they played the Magic tried to expose the Rockets by letting Brooks shoot. He had 21 shots, led the team, and they gifted us with a 13.5 line after playing them a week ago and taking 21 shots. I think those things like that with historically are where you want to target when a guy just took so many shots against the team last week and gets a low line.
Dustin, can I just say this quickly, because as we give these player props out from Alex, what you'll notice is you're not going to hear a lot of the marquee names because of those numbers, oftentimes inflated. So maybe if you do have a marquee name, you're going to go under. Dustin and I'm sure, Alex, you were doing the same. When Luka first signed with the Lakers, the numbers were so inflated because of, obviously the excitement and expectations. But is that something maybe you look for some of those ancillary players than the big names?
Yeah, I definitely lean more towards the role player bench guys more than anything because their lines are not as sharp. Like the LeBron Jameses and the Luka Doncic's of the world, like those guys have the absolute sharpest lines where I'm looking for more guys off the bench that are going to play 30 minutes a night and have a point line like under 10 because all you need is 2 or 3 shots for them to hit. And I'm just looking for guys that are on the court, going to hit shots. A lot easier to expose those lines than star players.
Yeah, and sometimes these books, they post a number the night before and they realize they're wrong and it gets bet down. Like Desmond Bain last night, his PRA was 38.5. I ended up getting over 36.5 this morning. Quentin Grimes was 35.5 last night. It got bet down to 32.5. So you can take advantage if they post a bad number and come back the other way on it. And a team that has a lot of bad numbers this year when it comes to wins and loss is the Utah Jazz. And they're clearly tanking, Alex. However, that doesn't mean we don't have opportunities to make money on a tanking team playing, guys who normally wouldn't play as many minutes at this point in the season. What are we going to do with Isaiah Collier as the Jazz are laying 2.5 against the Wizards at home? Totals 235.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the Jazz have completely given up. They're giving Isaiah Collier almost 30 minutes a game, and his point line is 10.5 against the Wizards, who are the worst point guard defense in all of basketball. Collier, also, he's a rookie. He's a home merchant. He's over this 10.5 line in 13 of his last 17 home games now. And I think that he is a perfect guy to target, as is Lauri Markkanen, has a 0.5 assist line, which means he needs 1 assist to go over his line tonight. He is the best player on the Jazz team. He's over in 40 of his last 50 games when he just plays 25 minutes, which he's a lock for. When you get the best player on a team, how do you ever give them a 0.5 line like that on assists?
So here is everybody's favorite 76er, Jared Butler, of course, and we're gonna go under 6.5 dimes for Jared Butler. This is betting, people. This is betting in 2025 with the props. We love it. Go ahead, Alex.
Exactly what happens. We have 3 weeks left, and it's random guys that I'd never heard of until yesterday, like Jared Butler, who is now the starting point guard for the 76ers out of absolutely nowhere. His assist line is 6.5 today. But one of those sticky stats I talked about on NBA.com was potential assists. So the amount of shots that his teammates have taken the last 4 games with him off of his passes were 8, 9, 9, and 9. And he needs to get 7 assists today to go over this line against the Thunder team that limits assists, the third best in the NBA to point guards. I have no idea how he's going to go over this line, especially when he's barely getting any potentials that he's going to need to convert almost every single one tonight.
What the
And-
F is this line?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous
and
line.
And Alex, when people think about the Phoenix Suns and placing bets, I'm sure most people go, oh, what's Kevin Durant's line at? What is Bradley Beal if he's playing? What's Devin Booker? But no, you say no. Against the Chicago Bulls, Suns are at home laying 6, 235.5 the total. You want to back Tyus Jones. How and why?
I mean, Tyus Jones, 2 big reasons. One, he's over in 21 of his last 24 games when Bradley Beal's off the court. Same thing as Dylan Brooks. Jones plays a way bigger role. The Bulls also allow the most assists to point guards the last 30 days. But my favorite stat in all of this, he is playing against his brother, Trey Jones, on the Bulls. He's over this line in 8 of 9 career games against his brother. Again, that matchup, they're guarding each other. He's going to bring his best tonight.
Love it. Alex Caruso on Twitter. Like I said, and by the way, free picks every day over there as well. So if you like free candy, Alex has got it for you. What's your process? Well, let me ask you this. As a new generation of betting and obviously legalized where you live, legalized in more than 50% of the states in the country, so starting to become mainstream. You went to college and you talk to your parents and you say, you know what, I'm gonna make a living out of sports betting. How'd that conversation go?
It was not an easy one. I mean, I started when I was a sophomore in college, so it took me 3 years before I even could think about doing this full time. And like right when I got out of college, I told them I would keep my restaurant job until I was making enough money to like fully do this. So I was working at a restaurant almost full time. And then finally, when I was getting enough from the betting side, I was like, Mom and Dad, like, I got to take the leap. They will take me back at the restaurant job if it doesn't go well, but like, it's time to put all my hours into this. And then after that is kind of when it exploded. And, all those extra hours opening up definitely helped a lot.
You obviously put a lot of work into it. So when it comes to scheduling your time, balancing your time, and making sure like you don't go too hard with this, some of the time, like how hard is that for you managing your schedule? Because you work for yourself right now.
Yeah, it's the single hardest part of the job, I think, because it's 360 days a year. There's like 5 days where there's no baseball or basketball for the All-Star breaks. So you definitely have to be really focused every day. But a lot of it is like it's late nights when lines come out or early mornings when we start getting injury news before the slate fully develops. So just a lot of, being willing to go home from the bar early, get up early, even if you're not, feeling your best the next morning. And then, just trying to lock in every day and just I've tried to keep strict to the same process every day. So I'm not having to think a whole lot, no matter how I'm feeling. And just the same 5 rules are going to get me all my bets today.
Yeah, it's you have to have a process because it can turn into quite a sedentary lifestyle as well, right, Alex? And we're just so glued to the odds screens, to the injury reports. It can be, you can get into a trance.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, I think you definitely just get there are definitely points in the season where you almost have no idea like what's going on because there's so many games. I mean, there's 15 games on. It's like Christmas morning and you have to find a way to get plays out. But I think that, just like us, I think sometimes the books sleep too. And I think if you can just again, I try to follow the same process every day. And that would be my advice to people is just try to follow historical matchups, potential assists and rebounds, and guys that are playing really well or really terribly late and just trying to target those same things no matter what.
Okay, but I'm looking through your Twitter. You posted 9 hours ago, which means you did a ton of work leading into that. When does handicapping tomorrow begin now? Like you're on with us now. It's 7:45 where you live. When does tomorrow's process begin, or have you already started it?
It's going to probably begin in like 2 hours. Like usually like 10, 11 o'clock every single night is when I'm starting to look at what lines are available. Like sometimes they're not available till midnight my time, but like I have VIP subscribers as well. I'm always trying to like get them at least a couple early lines before I go to bed. So trying to find 3 or 4 bets every night around 10 p.m. to midnight. And then I'm usually up around 7 or 8, right back in the lab, trying to find bets to start releasing around 10 a.m.
Well, props to you. I love your approach. You got a bright future, man, and he's killing it. At Alex Caruso, Caruso, must follow because you're going to get free plays, and you can, of course, sign up there. Alex, good luck with the plays. I played all of them tonight, so always the 5-0 theme on your Twitter. So let's go 5-0 tonight. No?
Yeah, let's get a sweep. Let's make some money. I appreciate you guys having me.
You got it, buddy. Alex Caruso, great job there. Love talking to him. Love hearing about the process as well. I like hearing about – it's almost like there was such a stigma associated – when I was coming up, there was such a stigma associated with sports betting that now it's become so mainstream. So somebody like Alex, who's super young but super sharp, can really, Dustin, develop a career which no longer has a stigma associated with it, and do something you love for the rest of your, like, again, if you're passionate about it, it will work out. That's what I always try to tell kids that want to get into broadcasting as well. If you're genuinely passionate about it, there's no way it can't work out. And somebody like Alex that found sports betting in college, obviously it's a passion of his, and it's only going to build.
No, and he grinded. It wasn't like it just happened overnight. Like, there was a process that developed over time for him, from betting, but two, the diligency to be able to work on your home and the discipline that comes with that. Like, that's something that would always scare me because I am someone who seeks the approval of others and I like having bosses. So working to get my own approval, man, I talked to Robin, my therapist, today for like an hour and 20 minutes. I would need to schedule twice a week if I worked for myself to try and find a way to get my own approval. So hats off to him, because that to me feels like the hardest part. Waking up every day and also not getting too high, not getting too low, because you know how it goes with this thing. You can go on a heater and think you're never going to miss again, and then you could be 0 for your next 20 and it balances out. It is a wild ride sometimes.
I think there's a broader conversation even beyond sports betting about what we were just talking about. And that is the pandemic with people working from home, it really started separating personality types. And if you're a person that works from home, you have to have a certain modicum of there's just
balance.
I don't know how to say it because I don't want to disparage anybody. You just self-motivation. You have to have an ability to self-process, to, again, not cheat yourself, not cheat your company. It's just a really weird vibe. And like you said, Dustin, if you're used to the traditional, kind of go to the office, people are watching you, you perform for them. When you're at home and you're on yourself and nobody's watching, that's when you really find out if you, A, like what you're doing, and B, have the motivation and work ethic to get it done.
But I think it goes both ways. One, can you motivate yourself enough to find a plan that works so you can get the work done and thrive? But two, at the same time, find a balance where that's not the only thing you're doing, because now your livelihood depends on it. There's not a base paycheck coming in to cover your rent and everything. So I think there's a balancing act there where you have to find a way to also not overdo it at times. That would be a hard part, I think, for a lot of people is, well, I work from home, I work for myself. I need to hustle all the time, but at the same time, that's bad for you in the long run.
Hustle culture. Level up. Level up, kids. All right, when we come back, let's talk about Xavier and Texas, because we're going to bet it as a family, and also Xavier, Texas, with the play-in, an opportunity to take on Illinois. And by the way, whether it's Xavier or Texas, they can beat Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like we're not talking Mount St. Mary's and American, who are going to take on Duke. So we'll come back and discuss that matchup next here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
4 minutes.
And Dustin Swedelson. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, let's talk Xavier, Texas. Dayton tonight. Xavier, what time's that game tip? 9:10 East, 6:10 my time? Okay, cool. I'm into that. I like that tip time. 2.5 on Xavier. So it was up to 3, has dropped back down to 2.5. Let me give you what Randall said. Randall's a brilliant college basketball bettor, comes on the show every week. I said, hey, you got a breakdown on Xavier, Texas? He said, if you're looking for a Cinderella, what characteristics would you want? Might I suggest a team from a Power 5 conference that has sharpened their teeth against elite opponents, a la NC State last year. A team that resides inside the top 10 in three-point accuracy. A team with experience, such as the second most experienced roster in the nation, perhaps. A team with an accomplished coach that has shown the ability to navigate challenges and games before. I present to you Xavier Musketeers, who invade Dayton from the overwhelming travel distance of 47.5 miles. So Randall has been on Xavier, but that is a brilliant breakdown of a few reasons. I can get into it. They're going to face Texas, a team that's lost 8 of their last 12, and on and on. The bottom line is we're on Xavier tonight.
Oh, no. There's no way we go against Xavier at all. Fremantle's a beast, 19 points a game. Conwell, 42% from 3. Their point guard, Swain, averages like 5.5 assists per game. Also, the coaching edge, Sean Miller over Rodney Terry every day of the week. The key, though, here is Texas is a team that fouls a lot. 326th in the nation. Xavier is the 8th best team from the charity stripe in the nation. They're awesome at hitting their free throws. That will matter in this game. Also, Texas is a bad defense. They allow 71 points a game. Xavier's really good on the boards. They're not going to give up a lot of second chances. And for Texas, they've got this kid, Trey Johnson, who's a monster, but I don't like relying on a freshman when Xavier's 3 best players are a junior, a senior, and a sophomore.
Yeah, one of the most experienced teams in the country, Xavier. And they got a gift because they got bounced in the Big East tournament when many thought they would make a run in that. We're one of the first 4 or last 4 in, and that's why we get them tonight. And what most believe – now, what you start to get concerned about is like the world is on Xavier.
But I think the world was on North Carolina last night. A few of us went contrarian and we're like, you know what? We'll back San Diego State. In this spot, I think it's the right call. Texas wasn't right. I know they won a couple games in the SEC tournament, but they lost 7 of 9 right before that. They were really stumbling down the stretch, and that jumps out to me because they were playing pressure-packed games on the bubble down the stretch, and they weren't able to execute.
Speaking of North Carolina, has Steve Torrey and Dog, have they called Bubba and the vice chair and apologized? Because North Carolina stomped all over their critics last night. And do we have to now? The committees, we hated the fact that they got in, but based on how they played last night against San Diego State, the committee might have got it right.
Oh, we'll get into it in the media roundup. Differing opinions on the network today when it comes to North Carolina. Torrey and Dog doubled down, and by the way, I believe they're correct. We'll discuss.
All right. Media roundup coming up later here on the program. Next, part of the family, Aaron Halterman's going to stop by. It's VSiN Live. It's Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right. Dustin, I know, filled out his bracket. I'm about to do mine in the next break. This is two things I want to tell you about. One is our VSiN's March Bracket Challenge. So this is for a lot of you that are frugal. It's freaking free, and there's 5 G's on the line. So literally, it costs you nothing. You go over there, you click a couple of buttons, you can win $5,000. VSiN.com/contest. And then we've got VSiN's March Mania betting guide. There's like 150 pages. So if you have any questions about who the professionals are betting, who the big guy, top of the leaderboard, who he's betting, I even got my plays in there. You're welcome. You go VSiN.com/subscribe for the guide. And by the way, you can get the guide right now. You could become a VSiN Pro for $9.99, which we don't do very often either. So a lot going on there. We're on YouTube at VSiN Live. We've got capsules of every game. You just pick a game, click it, find out who you want to bet. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Maher, as we welcome you back. A lot of exciting things happening, big guy, around VSiN when it comes to horse racing. You'll love to see it because the 2 best and 3 best, because I include Jared, but the gentlemen doing it, Aaron Halterman and Mike Somich, does it get better than that, big guy?
No, it does not. They're also the nicest human beings on the planet who I enjoy being around whenever I can. No, they're way nicer than you. You just yelled at me in the break for trying to be invested in the conversation, for being transparent.
You literally, I was like in the middle of a sentence. Aaron heard it. I was in the middle of a sentence, and you just literally started talking like I didn't exist. I mean, I know we're like an old married couple, but let me finish my freaking thought. Ultimate. Before we get to the congratulations on what's happening with you in horse racing, you did hear that. I wasn't done talking.
No comment. I want to keep the vibes good, guys. You guys are kind of like my parents. I hate when my parents fight, and I hate when you two fight. So let's just keep the good vibes going. I'm not going to take a side. You were talking, Patrick, yes, and Dustin did interrupt, but I'm not taking sides, Dustin. I'm not.
Loki just took a side.
Well, I'm not going to say that I was wrong. I would just say I was trying to be invested in the conversation. The way I do that is by speaking. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's over the other person who's already speaking.
Married couples could learn a lot from us because I'll yell at him and I don't get mad. We just tell him he's a donk and move on.
Yeah, no, like we don't walk around slamming cabinets and making noises around the other one, waiting for the other person to say what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Passive-aggressive behavior like I'm Aaron Rodgers. Get the hell out of here. Let's start here before we get to your plays. Congratulations to you and Somich, because this is a long time coming. VSiN has a wonderful relationship with ExpressBet. We've got the Kentucky Derby right around the corner, and maybe you can lay out to the audience on VSiN Live YouTube. You're going to be streaming, and then it's going to go to VSiN proper as well. The Derby preps and lead-up shows with you and Somich.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So we're going to stream live on Fridays, and then Saturday mornings they'll be on the VSiN actual television network. VSiN at the track, Road to the Kentucky Derby. That's what it's going to be called. Somich and I will be there, like I said, every Friday. You're filling in, Patrick. You're going to be a week from not this one, but the next week, and we're going to cover Arkansas Derby and Arkansas Derby and Florida Derby. So it's going to be awesome. It's the 3 big weekends are coming up. The big prep races starting this week coming up, and that's the big thing you want to get involved with. If you haven't followed it yet, don't worry about it. We're going to catch you up to speed, and then we're going to give you picks for all those big races on those big days. So like I said, if you haven't followed racing all year, maybe you never have, this is a show to tune into. We're going to get you set up for the Derby, and we're going to run it all the way through the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, man, you're a coworker now. I'm just realizing this. I have to be careful with what I text you, the pictures I used to send. I got to be really, really careful now because I can get in a lot of trouble. But I think you just laid it out perfectly, because I am not going to Google these races. I am not going to do my own research. You guys are my proxy. You guys show up, you tell me what you like, and I ride. And that's what we do as a family on this show every day.
Yes, sir.
Good. I love it. I think it's a great idea. And look,
and I can give you my connection to and how I found Aaron and Jared and racing dudes. So years ago, when I decided to go headfirst into horse racing and sports betting, as far as horse racing and taking that on as a passion, I found Jared and Aaron, and Samich is a part of the Racing Dudes crew as well, and their podcast, and I learned the sport through them. So that is, I can't co-sign it any better. Fridays here at VSiN Live. You guys taught me the sport, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, it was very cool meeting you guys for the first time. We got just an email from the big guy, from Dustin, and he was like, hey, Patrick's doing a show live at Santa Anita, and he wants you guys on. And I was like, are you sure this is the right people? I don't know about this. I don't think he wants us. But anyway, we went on. We met you guys, and yeah, Patrick, like immediately I was like, wow, this guy's a big fan of racing. And yeah, it was so awesome to be on. That was like the biggest thing we'd ever been on up to that point, was on that radio show. And I believe it was on Mad Dog right here.
It
so
was.
yeah, it was so cool though. Very cool.
Well, I remember that week, I think we had like 2 NBA players on. We probably had a coach on. Patrick could have cared at all about speaking to either of them. And then your day came up the first time we had you guys on. He was like, these guys are awesome. You have no idea. Like it's the first time I saw him like not nervous, but like excited about a conversation where he's like, I'll talk to the player, whatever. It's free. That makes you look good, not the show look good. That's for you to keep us on the air. Aaron and Jared, that's who I want to talk to. That's who I get excited about.
Well, I was also hollering at Brittany too.
That's fair too.
At the same event. Had mixed So, but we were talking, so my passion for horse racing, we were talking about this at the onset of the show. Halterman, pull yourself together. We were talking about the NCAA tournament, and Steve Torrey, right before we came on, was just talking about how it's the greatest 2 days, Thursday and Friday. It's the greatest event in sports. And his passion got me into it because I'm like, there aren't too many things these days. Like the Super Bowl is so corporate. It's such a build-up, but the tournament still matters as a thing. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, it is like a holiday for me, especially the Thursday, and of course the Friday's great as well. But that first Thursday when that game comes on at where I live 11:15, where you guys live 9:15 in the morning, it hits, right. It just hits you a certain kind of way. So I view it. Look, the Super Bowl is a huge thing, and this to me is kind of the first day of the NCAA tournament. It maybe doesn't rank up that high, but it is really close. It's just like a celebration of sports and sports fans. And look, it's kind of that thing, like even if you don't follow college basketball day in and day out, you still can really appreciate day one of the tournament. And that's what makes it special.
You and Samich are very unique in the sense that you're 2 people we could just tell you, hey, learn about cricket and find us an edge, and you would. Like, that's what you do. It started with horse racing. You've branched out to a million other things. You love sports. You do a lot of college football. You do NFL. But college basketball also is one of your bigger sports. I'm curious, as we head into this event where you've come on this show a number of times and said, I like to bet smaller conferences. So you have a better feel for some of these smaller schools than other people. Do you think that's actually a hindrance, or do you think that's a benefit for you here as you fill out your brackets and you find bets in this event?
I would say as far as filling out a bracket, it's been a hindrance more than helpful, because I do get a little bit overly high on some of these smaller schools. I'll talk about a couple of them on the show today when we run down the bets. So the bracket filling out, I tend to take them a little too far. Maybe I need to just have them win one, and I try to have them win 2 or 3, but I do get attached to a couple of teams. I think from a betting standpoint, when you're talking about point spreads, it's probably more helpful than hurtful. And again, we'll kind of break down a couple, but it's like, okay, a lot of these teams are getting 5, 6, 7 points. And if you've watched them, you've paid attention, maybe you pick them to win and they don't, but if you bet them, they're going to be able to keep that game close and closer than what maybe the experts think. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. My bracket usually gets busted because I do stupid things like, hey, let's put Drake to the Elite Eight because I love that team and bet them all year.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's human nature. Cause when you're gambling and you are very successful with a certain team, you cannot help but get attached to that team. It's that simple.
You can't quit them.
No,
it's like a toxic ex that you just, for some reason you're ruminating, and your rumination is Drake basketball. Let's talk. We got a clip from Will Wade talking about this, but the McNeese State head coach, who has had a checkered past. His name is Will Wade. He's still young. He's a great basketball coach. and he is going to take the NC State job after the tournament. But this is a good McNeese State team taking on a good Clemson team, and you're going to take the 7.5 with McNeese.
Yeah, and when I sent that, like 2 hours later, it came out about the Will Wade situation to North Carolina State, and that does complicate matters a little bit. But I will say this. I think McNeese State, those guys want to come win this game. Those guys want to show out. I do think it is an element of kind of that's an intangible thing. I don't know how that's going to go, but I do think McNeese State will show up with a big effort. Now, let's talk about just them, though, and what they've done the last 2 years under Will Wade. And why, with a checkered pass, he's still going to get another shot. He went to McNeese after getting fired, and he has been unfreaking believable down here. They've lost 2 conference games in 2 years. They were kind of a sleeper team last year. They didn't get it done, but plus 7.5, that's a key number to me. That's way too many points for McNeese to be getting. We're seeing a Clemson team here. They've been a little bit inconsistent all year long. I'm a guy that thinks the ACC is a little bit better than what people think. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's awful. But I just think that's too many points. This is a very exciting team. They play an exciting brand of basketball. I think they keep it close. Without the Will Wade situation, I think McNeese would even win this game. But with what's going on, I'm just not sure. But I do think 7.5 is a good number.
Okay, don't be concerned. I'm going to play a clip from Will Wade here. I think it's going to make you feel better about your bet because the way this is going to shake out, it sounds like Will Wade may be bringing a bunch of these players with him, and they've been well aware of it. This is Will Wade yesterday addressing how he'd handle with the team the rumors of him being up for a bunch of other jobs.
We address it head on. I talked to him Saturday about it. I said, here's where it is. Here's where we are. They talked about some of their portal stuff with me. We sat in a room. It was just me and our players, and we all talked about it. So I'm aware of what they've got going on. They're aware of what we've got going on, and you just hit it head on. So we're all on the same page with everything.
I think it's going to make the McNeese State players want to perform for Wade, so he takes them to the ACC and NC State. I think it's added motivation. I love the angle. I love McNeese State catching 7.5. Let's do your team, and that's Drake, who McCollum probably is going to leave for Iowa, but they're catching 6.5 against Missouri here, Aaron.
Yeah, and like I said, I just love this team, and it's easy to love them when they win 30 games and you follow the Missouri Valley and you bet them a lot, right? And they've come through a lot. So, look, if you haven't watched them yet, I don't blame you. You know, they're not a household name by any means, but they play a very hard-nosed style of basketball. They're going to slow this game down. They're going to play extremely good defense. They're very disciplined. It's unbelievable. He took the kids from Northwest Missouri State, a Division II school, brought them here, and they're having success at the D1 level. You flip it over, they're playing Missouri. I think Missouri's had an incredible season for what we thought they would be versus what they actually have been. I think they've overachieved. I do think they're coming back down to earth just a little bit. I can't say enough good things about Missouri in the season they've had. I just want to say that. I don't want to sound like I'm talking down on them, but I think this is a very tough matchup for Missouri. They're not playing their best ball. Give me Drake in this spot.
Drake's going to slow it down. It's going to be a totally different game that Missouri's not ready for. And my favorite angle, and you're there in Missouri, Aaron, is Drake has 6 or 7 players that McCollum brought over from Northwest Missouri State that are from the state of Missouri. You're telling me they don't want to take down the Tigers that didn't even recruit them? So I love your play. I'm on it. Patrick's on it. It's the right side here. Another game that I think is really interesting, and I'm with you on this. You said the ACC isn't as bad as people think. I actually agree with you when it comes to the top three teams, and that third team's Louisville. Louisville's laying 2.5 in that 8-9 game against Creighton. They have vets. They're a dangerous team. They have a good head coach. So I'm with you. Tell me why you decided to lay it with the Cardinals.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think this is one of the best stories in all of college basketball. This Louisville program is a proud program, and they were just not good at all the last few years. New coach comes in, turns them around, so deserve a lot of credit. I don't think they should be an 8 seed. I think they should be a little bit higher. I thought a 5 or a 6 for them, but here they are. But the big thing here, they're playing in Lexington. And while Lexington, Kentucky is not a friendly place to Louisville, it will be for this because they won't be playing Kentucky at Rep Arena. They'll be playing Creighton. So I think they'll have the home crowd. So that is kind of a little bit of a break, even though they got the 8 seed, at least they're kind of, quote unquote at home. And yeah, like I talked about, and I'm with you, the bottom of the ACC, yeah, it's fallen off. But still, you look at what North Carolina did. I think this Louisville team's very good. Of course, Duke, excellent team's got a great shot to win it. I don't mind backing Louisville and laying 2.5 here. I think they're going to be awfully tough to beat. Creighton's a decent team, no doubt. I think Louisville gets it done.
We're talking the NCAA tournament, betting the tournament, with the host of VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby with Mike Somich. He's Aaron Halterman, racingdudes.com. So last year, Yale upset Auburn, and so many people asking, are they upset alert for Texas A&M? You're saying not so fast, my friend. You're going to lay the 7.5 with A&M.
Yep, this is the one that out of the 6 I've given, this is the one I'm least confident on, but I'm still going to play it because I can't quit Texas A&M. I've been high on them all year. I will be the first to say the last couple of weeks, they haven't quite been as sharp as we've seen maybe in January or February. And so that is a concern. But I just look at this A&M roster, and I've seen it up close in person. They are so big and they are so athletic. I just can't see Yale matching up. And yeah, I know they were able to do it to Auburn last year, but I just kept looking this over and saying, you know what? I just think A&M's gonna be able to win this game by double digits. And so, again, they've got great size, great athleticism. It's gonna be a situation where we're gonna try to get they're gonna try to slow the game down. Talking about Yale, try to slow them down. I just think A&M's too good, too physical. I'm laying the 7.5. Maybe I'll regret it, but I can't quit on this Texas A&M team just yet.
Another one for you, a matchup of coaches who are used to meeting in national championships. This time, I don't think either one's going to get there. Arkansas and Kansas. Arkansas catching 4.5. Why are we backing Calipari's bunch?
It's a situation for me. This Kansas team, if you've watched them this year, they're not very good. They've kind of relied on the fact, hey, we're Kansas. And so that's kind of kept them where they could get a 7 seed. I really feel like if they the same team, but a different name, maybe they wouldn't be up this seated this highly of 7 even. I've watched them a lot. They're just not a very good team. You look at Arkansas, they only have 7 guys that really can contribute. But, they have been together. They have been very, very frustrating. They've had games where it looks like they're going to win by 15 or 20. It ends up being a 1-point game. But they just seem to have played together this season. The second half of the season, they started so bad in the SEC, and this thing looked like a disaster, and they re-rallied. I think they keep it. They're plus 4.5. So I'm going to play them with the points here. I think they're going to keep this thing close. I expect them to win. But I think still, if you want to be a little safer, plus 4.5 makes more sense because Arkansas has blown a lot of games too. I just expect it to be close. I believe in Arkansas a little bit more than Kansas.
I think if you've listened to Bill Self this year, I don't even think he wants to play the game, let alone win the game. He hates this team. He's been literally talking in his post-game pressers about the recruits for next year. Could you disrespect the current team more than talking about how excited he is about next season? That's Bill Self. Marquette's laying 3.5. The New Mexico. What do you got here?
Yeah, this hurts me because I do love the Mountain West quite a bit. But guys, you just kind of have to look at the stats and look at the facts. To be quite honest, the Mountain West, while it's so fun in the regular season, they just don't perform well in this tournament the last 3 or 4 years. And really, I think it was 2 years ago, I was really high on a lot of teams from the Mountain West. Really thought they'd make runs. And they just don't do it. And so you already see it. North Carolina just destroys San Diego State. Now, North Carolina, I think, is a very good team and a team that's very good right now. So maybe that wasn't as bad as it looks. But with New Mexico here, it's a team I like. It's a team they're very tough, but away from home, I don't think they're quite as good. You catch a Marquette team here, I think they're a little bit sneaky, to be quite honest. I think they could win. Obviously, I got them winning this game. They might upset in the second round as well. They're better than the record. I think they've been playing better opponents. I think they're just a little bit better prepared for the tournament style of basketball. Like New Mexico, just can't support the Mountain West. I'm going Marquette in this spot.
That's all the picks, but we need one more important pick. And that is, who is your Final Four and who's winning this thing?
Yeah, I went too chalky. I'll just say that right now. I do have Florida. I've got Michigan State to come out of their region. I really like Michigan State. I've got Tennessee and I've got Duke. Those are the Final Four. I do have Florida winning this thing. They just impress me the most. I've watched them a lot. They're just so explosive. That's the best way I can describe it, man. They can just score in bunches. They can go on runs and just bury you. I was so impressed how they just buried Alabama, I believe in the semifinals of the SEC. And that's a good team, So Florida for me, chalky Final Four, but that's just kind of how I see it.
Before we say goodbye, we always Aaron loves the NHL, so let's kind of get an overview. A little something called That's Baseball, Susan. Let me lay it out for you. So on Sunday, the big guy, I was handicapping hockey over here. I was grinding, and I looked up, and the Canucks were hosting the Utah Hockey Club. And I'm like, Aaron, why are the Canucks catching at home? And he's like, it's a bad number. Let's bet it as a family. We bet it. What happens? Vancouver loses. Then, last night, here comes the Jets, Winnipeg, who are much better than Utah, and they beat Vancouver beats the Jets 6-2. That is baseball, Susan. They were catching plus 140 at home, and they killed the Jets, Aaron.
That's Vancouver in a nutshell this year. And that's why I think a lot of people have said, hey, we're giving up on Vancouver. They're not going to get in that playoff spot. They're such a disappointment. And then, like you said, they'll go, and they'll beat a team like Winnipeg, or they'll go on the road in a game where you think they don't have much of a chance, and they'll win. And then, like you said, you get those opportunities against Utah. And again, plus 115 at home against Utah. By the way, Utah got beat 7-1 last night to Edmonton. Yeah. They're not any good. And Utah really never let Vancouver into that game. I don't know if you watched it, Patrick. It was not a good game at all. Utah felt like the better team the whole game. And then last night, Vancouver just dominated Winnipeg from start to finish.
Yeah. Let me just say this, big guy, because Ovechkin is chasing the record with Washington, Gretzky's all-time scoring record. They won again last night. He didn't score. But I do think the Caps are rock the red. I think the Caps are one of the big stories right now. The best team in the East, when I don't think much was expected from them.
Nothing was expected for them. Maybe sneak into the playoffs with the 8 seed. That's kind of what I was thinking. Or I guess it's not the 8 seed, the second wild card now. Dated myself with the 8 seed. But anyway, look, I have been waiting since January for this team not to fall apart, but just kind of take a step back, right? Where you kind of look up and you're like, okay, they've lost 3 or 4 in a row, or maybe they're 4-6 in the last 10. It just hasn't happened. And he's turned back the clock. Talking about Ovechkin, he's turned back the clock 10 years. He looks like his old self again. So, but the players around him have been really good, and getting Logan Thompson and kind of solidifying the goalie situation, that's been good as well. He's been fantastic. I'm telling you guys, when you've got a goalie that you can really rely on, that's such just a box that you could check that you don't have to worry about. And so I think the stability there, and just the fact that the guys around him have just elevated their game. They really don't have any new flashy toys that have made them, being unbelievable. They're just playing really, really good hockey. They're not going to falter. They're going to be the 1 seed over there. You're going to have to go to Washington to beat them. I mean, they're going to be one of the top 2-3 teams out of the East as far as the betting odds go.
I'm under the impression your Blues are playing pretty good hockey from what I've seen. I saw someone in the Family Bets Discord over the weekend asked you about St. Louis. Is there a way for us to back them? Is it make the playoffs around plus 170? Do we dare go win the cup? Are they that good? What should we do with your Blues?
Yeah, don't go win the cup. They're not that kind of team yet, but I am cautiously optimistic about my Blues. It's been a while since we've been to the playoffs. They're playing fantastic hockey. Coach Montgomery, who they got from Boston towards the first/middle of the season, has just got these guys on the same page. They're not overly talented. They're getting good goaltending, and they're just what they've done. They've understood the system and the way they need to play to be successful. And Montgomery's got the guys to buy in. They're not overly talented, and that's the scary part, but they're playing better than any of the other 4 teams that they're battling for that last spot. So that's the good news.
All right, we end where we started today with the exciting news. Every Friday, the two of the best, Halterman and Samich. VSiN at the track, the road to the Kentucky Derby at VSiN Live, then will be replayed on VSiN proper. But make sure you subscribe at VSiN Live and set the notification so you can watch the boys. I'm super excited about this because, like, when we were talking about the NCAA tournament, we were talking about things that still matter in sports, and the Triple Crown still matters. There's still the pageantry. The Kentucky Derby still has that mystique to it, and this is about the time of the year, Aaron, where people start paying attention. And what's fun about VSiN at the track with you and Samich is this year we're going to have really good horses in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, Samich and I were talking about that earlier. It's like, man, what a nice time to start it. Like, what if it was last year or the year before we didn't have a whole lot we were excited about? You talk about Triple Crowns. I'm not predicting we're going to have one, but I do think we have a couple horses that might be able to make a run for it for the first time in a few years. So great timing for Samich and I, and maybe we can kind of will ourselves another Triple Crown winner. Maybe it's on the shoulders of Samich and I.
That's crazy that we said that we're saying now a Triple Crown for the first time in a few years after American Pharoah, then Justified, because prior to that, it was like 37 years.
Yep.
that we had a Triple Crown. So it's like, it's crazy to even put it that way. Well, congratulations. Fired up for VSiN at the track, the road to Kentucky Derby. Aaron Halterman, along with Mike Samich. You can find Aaron at racingdudes.com, at racing_dudes. By the way, there's only 2 games on the ice tonight. Is there anything with the Minnesota game later?
I didn't do anything. I wanted to send one because, we do talk hockey here, but the prices aren't right. The Wild are not playing very well, and I don't like the Kraken, so not much, no.
All right. That was literally just a degenerate, selfish question because I want to bet hockey, and there's only one game on the board. So I apologize to everybody paying attention to the show. That's on me. Halterman, great stuff. Congratulations, buddy. Nice to talk to you. We'll see you next week.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, that was me, big guy. That was me just literally like, I need an itch scratched in hockey tonight because I love those first periods.
Well, also, you brought something up with the Triple Crown stuff. 37 years, then we had 2015 and 2018. I had to look it up. Affirmed in 1978. Also went back-to-back with Seattle Slew. And then we went from 78 to 2015 before we had another one in American Pharoah. Think about how the world changed from 1978 to 2015. I mean, there have been some big gaps, though. Prior to Secretariat in 73, it was 1948 before that. So there have been some chunks.
Yeah, they're 78. I know how much the world has changed because I was born in 1978. And that's a long-ass time ago. But, think about that. 37 years between a Triple Crown winner. Of course, those that don't know, Triple Crown is obviously the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. And then Pharoah does it, and then a couple of years later, Justified does it. A lot of controversy around Justified with Bob Baffert, but I love the horse. That horse was a wagon.
And I was going to say, is that the reason why Aaron said there are some horses that are capable of being Triple Crown horses? Because Baffert is now eligible again and can run all the races?
Yeah, after the suspension, Bob Baffert, who I think horse racing needs because, the white hair, like if my mom throws on the Kentucky Derby coverage, she knows who Bob Baffert is. So we need figures like that. And plus, we like him just because he's come on the show a bunch of times.
He's a good dude to us, I can tell you that. He always treats us great. He comes on all the time. And, oh, by the way, he just wins every race that matters.
Yeah, he may be the GOAT. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. See calls coming in. We'll get to those. We'll also maybe the media roundup in this half hour because we got Spritzer coming up at the top of the hour. So plenty to do. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, big guy, I'll be driving out to Vegas tomorrow. Dustin and I are going to be broadcasting live from the SiriusXM studios at the Wynn tomorrow and then Friday. So if you're around, come by, say hello. I'll buy you a beer. I'll buy the big guy a beer. I had to go do the meet and greet with the person watching the G-Ster today.
Oh, it's a new person.
Yeah, new person watching Jeezy.
Oh, how do we feel? How do we feel about that?
I'm just neurotic with her because it's my only responsibility in life.
It's really endearing to watch it, but it is fascinating to see you act like that just because you're not neurotic about anything. Like you are no pulse. You're no pulse. You're so, by the way, Jeezy's his dog. I guess we should note that's not a human.
True.
But it's interesting to watch. It just shows how much you care about her. I mean, you definitely care more about your dog than she cares about you at this point. But
yeah,
it is interesting just to see you act that way because in no aspects of your life do you have that anxiety or neuroticness about you.
No, it's like she's just this 12-pound white little thing. And I don't know. It's just I don't know what it's like to have children, but I know what it's like to have her. And I just even the lady today, she's like, wow, you ask a lot of good questions. I'm like, yeah, I'm just a little weird about her, and I worry about her, and it's the whole thing. It's annoying. I wish I never got her.
No. You can't say that. You can't say that.
I'll just play. But the exciting news is she's got someone to watch her. I'll be driving out to Vegas tomorrow. It'd be good to see the big guy. We'll be at the Wynn. The studios at the Wynn, just like our studios for VSiN at Circa, the SiriusXM studios at Wynn are insane. You've seen them.
Yeah, well, the Wynn is insane as well. But, yeah, the studio, I mean, it's first class. It's going to be awesome. We're going to sweat the games out there. I mean, it's kind of old school for us. This is like the first bonding you and I really did was our first trip, which was going to Vegas to watch the games. And then that's when you got me started on betting. And it's kind of old school for us. This is what we do. We go to Vegas and we sweat out all of our action. I got a lot tomorrow.
Yeah, I still feel guilty about getting the big guy involved. By the way, Caruso, his first bet, Dylan Brooks, is already cashed with 347 to go. He had over 13.5. Brooks has got 15. So Alex Caruso, if you want to follow him on Twitter, the kid's killing it.
He's the GOAT.
You know what? Maybe I'll swing by and pick up our next caller. Hey, Twiz, maybe you should come out to Vegas with me tomorrow. Wait, I'm gonna put Twizzy. Twizzy's hanging out. He's talking to somebody in the background.
Man, what's going on?
Wait, what's the dinner plans? What are we doing? What are we doing, Twiz?
You know what? My wife was talking about the circus. She heard you guys mention it, and she started going on about the circus, so I had to pay attention to it.
Well, no, ask wifey, because you didn't hear what I said. Ask wifey. I said I might swing by Twizzy's house in the morning, and you can ride with me, and we'll go to Vegas tomorrow.
Hey, we can go in my truck. Let's go. Hey, but you know what? That picture, if you were, I don't know if you remember, Patrick, but I don't know if it was the first or the second year when you were at the South Point, and I came down there during the March Madness thing, and you let me in the studio. It was the Pepsi 500 or 400 winner for NASCAR. I think he was like the grandson or the great grandson of somebody important there at the South.
Yeah.
At the South. He was in there, and man, it was one of your not one of your producers, but Eddie. He was a big Notre Dame fan. He was the producer that used to be. He was down there too, and I got to meet Tori for the first time, and everything else, and hang out. But you were out of there. I mean, you had one drink and you were gone. You went upstairs. You were beat.
Sorry, Twizzy. You know I could be antisocial, but of course I remember seeing you. You're a friend. You're part of the family. So of course I remember that.
Look, I had two things I wanted to get to today. One, the North Carolina thing, right? To me, a lot of the North Carolina thing is just a product of the analytics thing, where we have reduced wins, and wins don't mean so much anymore as much as analytics. And we lean so heavy and so much on that that, and I wish we didn't, because ultimately the goal is to win no matter what your stats look like, as long as you can get that done. So, I think definitely North Carolina shouldn't been in, because if you're 1-12 in anything, you shouldn't get into whatever you're trying to get into with that. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, they did kill San Diego. San Diego State didn't show up for that game last night, by the way.
Well, that's two different things.
That's
two different arguments.
Totally.
They're more, obviously North Carolina is more talented. I mean, that's clear. And so I thought they were going to win, and I laid the points with them. So it is what it is. But one thing I really wanted to ask you, Patrick, and this is the reason why really for the call, is you were talking last time I asked you about when Thomas G was on. He said how he had handicapped Purdue at -2, but the books had it at 4.5. And when I asked you about it, you said, well, you have to do your own handicapping. What I want to know is, how do you go about that? When you see two teams, like, how do you personally go about looking at two teams and handicapping that game? Maybe pick a two teams, a matchup in the tournament right now, and handicap it for us, and how you would go about that. Forget the number that's there, but how you would go about it, so I can see how the Sharps guys do it.
Okay, I will. What I would say is, a lot of the times these days, what I'll do is I'll just text the big guy and be like, what are we playing? But if I am, and I do get serious on certain days, college basketball tomorrow, soccer takes up so much of my time. So I have a soccer betting strategy that would just bore everybody here. But what I will do is I will never, if I'm really into a game, like the tournament games tomorrow, Twizzy, I won't look at the spread before I write down on a piece of paper what I think the number should be. And the best resource for that, and if you want, I'll get you a subscription because it's not much. The best resource for that is KenPom.
Yeah.
Because when you go to KenPom, he has literally every metric that you would ever need to breaking down the teams that are playing one another, whether it be net rating, offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, pace, free throw shooting percentage, three-point shooting percentage. And then when you start understanding the metrics over at KenPom, and again, I think it's Dustin, $19 a year.
Oh, it's worth it. I know that because my subscription is actually today might be the last day. I need to re-up for next year.
But when you click on the matchup, what you'll also see is how the teams have been performing lately. And for me, now, every handicapper has a different take on this, and Dustin, you can speak on this as well. For me, past performance matters so much. So what I'm trying to do is I go stylistically, how do these two teams match up? Obviously, in basketball, you're looking at pace, you're looking at the offensive and defensive rating, and in modern day, you're looking at the three-point shooting and the free throw shooting. Once I compare those, I'll then write down a number. Okay, based on what I'm seeing here, past performance, how the teams have been performing lately, the metrics, I'll write down what I think the number should be. Then I look at the market, and when I look at the market, if there's a chasm between what I have and what the market has, that's when I fire. I hope that makes sense, and maybe you can give your approach here.
Yeah, so I do look at the number initially, and then I work backwards from there. So I do look at the KenPom number, and if he has a significant difference, I usually that opens my eyes a little bit. I go back to what they've done recently, and I compare maybe 5 to 10 games of recent run. And if the numbers, points-wise, spread-wise, if there's a difference in their season-long numbers. And then ultimately, I also go back, and I like to look at trends. Now, Twizzy, what I'd say is trends don't pay the bills. That's the phrase in the betting community. But trends do help make you feel a little bit better about situations. Like if a certain coach or a certain team is better at covering as a road dog or as a home favorite or with the rest advantage. And I use a website called teamrankings.com to kind of go through that and find how these teams do against the spread and how they do total-wise in these different situations. And then I come back to the number and I just kind of figure out if I think the number's too big. I'm pretty basic. I'm not a math guy. I don't do analytics well, and I don't know how to make an algorithm. So I have to do it basically by hand every day.
And I think you would agree, if you have two teams that have played each other earlier in the year, you want to dissect the hell out of that box score. And you're looking for what happened, what were the strengths of one team when they played each other
Yeah.
earlier, because oftentimes you're going to see whatever this team A won by, you'll notice that the number in the second matchup or whatever the matchup is will line up with the difference in score from the first matchup. So then go through that box score and see where there might be some inefficiencies.
And the one thing that does not matter at all that you should not get caught up in is, I believe it's transitive property, where if they have common opponents, to figure out, well, Michigan State beat Kansas by 18.
Yeah, it's overrated.
And this team only beat them by 13. So that means this number should be closer to 5. You don't ever put too much stock in the common opponents thing.
And then finally, Twizzy, you're looking at an odd screen, what is called Steam. And Steam is, let's say, Purdue opened a 2.5-point favorite, and now they're a 4.5-point favorite. That means the market and potentially smart bettors really like Purdue, because they opened 2.5 and they've jumped up to 4.5. Now, you're not getting the best of it. You're not getting the best number if you're betting 4.5, but it tells you you're on the right side of the sharp bettors.
And I'd also say Josh Applebaum, who appears on the show every Thursday, you could do a very simple approach in how he begins of the basis of a lot of his bets. You go to VSiN.com, you look at the betting splits, and you can target where the money is going by seeing if there's a large percentage of the handle going on a bet, and there's not, the percentage of bets is a smaller number than the number that is on the handle. That way you can see that big money on fewer bets is being bet on that. That's how you know the sharp money's going there.
Okay. Good information. Now, we take a deep breath, because that was a lot of information we just threw at you guys. But what you notice, Twiz, and anybody else that's getting into this, and again, getting into this as a passion, as fun, you're not betting money you don't have. So first off, KenPom.com is a great place to start resources as far as college basketball. And then secondly, you heard my approach, and then you heard Dustin's approach. What's important is you develop your own approach, what works for you, what you feel comfortable doing. But there's a good layout as far as how to get started in the basics of handicapping. So I hope that helps. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646, VSiN Live. We do have a winner with Mount St. Mary's and American. We'll let you know, and we'll take your calls next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Professional handicapper, of course, Scott Spritzer at the top of the hour. Back to your calls. Did I misspeak on the Ovechkin thing? Here's our buddy Steve in Arizona joining us. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
What up, though, Patrick Moa?
What up, though? Did I misspeak on Ovechkin? I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, you did. As anyone who follows hockey knows, the scoring title goes to the most goals plus assists. That's the scoring record. He's getting the goal record, but he's not getting the scoring record. Gretzky's so far ahead of him on with his assists that he could play another 20 years and wouldn't catch Gretzky.
That is a good distinction. No, how many is it? 800 and something? Like, Gretzky, if you look up Gretzky's record, Steve, you know this because you know hockey. He is so far and away. Like you said, Ovechkin could play like 20 more years. The fact that Ovechkin's even in the mix for the goals is insane because Gretzky's records always seemed untouchable.
Yeah, and see, I grew up went to the Olympia when I was 6 years old, when the ALH line was still playing for the Red Wings. Gordie Howe, Sid Abel, and Ted Lindsay.
Yeah.
So I've been watching hockey for years. But anyway, going to North Carolina, there's a difference between earning your way into the tournament and winning a game once you get in there.
True.
They did not earn their right to be in there. A 1-12 record against quad one opponents does not earn you a right to be in there. They took advantage of the opportunity they were given, and I still want to say that they were given that opportunity because of Bubba, but they didn't earn that right. There were other teams, including Indiana, who had a better record against quad one teams than they did. So just because they won doesn't prove that, it was right to put them in there. No, they didn't deserve to be there.
You're right. Even if they win a national championship, it doesn't justify them being in the tournament. I totally agree. By the way, my grandfather used to tell me he used to have beers in downtown Detroit out of the Olympia with Ted Lindsay, Sid Abel, and the crew. So that's a good job by Steve. It is, as far as goals, I think 894 for Gretzky, career goals. Ovechkin has 887. So he's going to get there this year. That's insane.
But you guys mentioned the points thing. So Gretzky has the most points in NHL history, 2,857. Number 2 is Jaromir Jagr, 1,921. Gretzky did it in 246 less games than Jaromir Jagr.
No, I'm saying when I talk to people about the greatest of all time in their respective sport, I'm like, you have to go dig through the Gretzky numbers because it doesn't even compute in your brain how far and away he's ahead of everybody. It's insane.
These guys had to play so many more seasons, like extending their careers just to have their numbers even be remotely 1,000 away from what Gretzky accomplished.
It's the great one. It's crazy. It really is. Here's your buddy.
The great
Mike
one it is.
Mike at the OC. How you doing?
Wait, did you say the great one and came to me, or did I mishear that?
No, I was talking about you. I was talking about you.
I said Gray.
But yeah. By the way, if you're going to pick up Twizzy tomorrow, you're picking me up. You're going right by my house to Vegas. So what time should I meet you with my bag?
Oh yeah, I forgot. We'll grab a pastrami sandwich and we'll drive to Vegas together, Mike.
It's overdue. It's overdue. It's been a few years, right? What's it been now?
Yeah.
5? I don't know what it's been.
What are you going to do?
You probably know down to the day.
Are you still posting that picture? Are you still posting that
email still? Huh?
Are you still posting that picture like when you were in studio on your Twitter page?
Every year. Patrick, every year it goes up. That's a great. Dustin took the dang photo. Was that one of the craziest Mad Dog Radio moments ever? Can we just
ever?
You got to admit, it's pretty well. You remember Steve didn't recover. Dog's going crazy the next week. Remember Hayden's supposed to come in with Steve and all that. Never happened. Yeah. It was hysterical. Then Lauren Torrey, there was something with Lauren. You were yelling at me about Lauren. I said something on Twitter. Patrick.
It did cause a lot of drama, but drama generally follows you. Hey, what does it say on my screen yesterday? Yesterday, somebody called in asking for Mike in the OC.
okay, who did that? I mean, what the hell are we doing here, Patrick? Someone asked for me? What they want me to call in, or they want me to come in, or what? What was the deal on that one?
I don't know.
I was there, and I don't remember that happening.
I don't remember what the hell he's talking about. Did somebody call in and ask for Mike in the OC?
I mean, I don't remember that happening. And I also
saying that did happen.
Oh, someone
I'm
said
telling you, the guy's polarizing.
Oh,
here's the thing.
Maybe it was about UCLA. It might have been about college basketball in the tournament.
Here's the thing. 50% of the Mad Dog Sports Radio audience hates Mike. 70% of the Mad Dog Sports Radio hates Mike. 30%
85.
likes him. But I'm going to tell you something right now that's going to frustrate the people that don't like him. He moves the needle.
It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that, look, even the people who hate him, if he was to go away for a while, they'd realize he does mix it up a lot for people and makes it easy.
Some people, whether they mean to or don't, move the needle. They just pop. And for some reason, that donk pops.
Look, it doesn't make sense. It's one of those things where on the surface, what do you mean that guy's controversial? But somehow he is.
He caught me in a moment of weakness, and we allowed him to come up to the studio.
We did.
And he is asking us on the air if it's the craziest thing that's ever happened at Mad Dog Sports Radio. Narcissism much?
It's pretty crazy. He showed up, he came, and there was peanut shells everywhere. He brought us peanuts as a gift. And look, it caused some drama. But I'm pretty sure the guy who hosts the show, who the channel's named after, he's probably had 4,000 more interesting, dramatic moments than Mike in the OC walking into a room.
Here's the thing. He is kind of an idiot. He's a good dude.
He's a nice guy.
So he's a great person. He takes a lot of crap from people. He comes with the same energy every day.
He's consistent.
He is consistent. Yeah.
He's consistently dialing that phone number.
Listen, here's all I can say. All you do is hear his calls. Can you imagine being his wife, his daughter, and his son?
You have to look at it that way. It's charity for his family to get them away from him for a minute.
It's unbelievable. Scott Spritzer joins us next, professional handicapper. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, 3 things you need to know. 1, yesterday, to get ready for March Madness, so you can study up tonight, we dropped our VSiN's March Mania betting guide. Again, you can become a VSiN Pro for $9.99, get everything, including the guide. The second one, and it's completely free, go sign up for VSiN's March Bracket Challenge. Now, what is this? It's free to enter. Showcase your handicapping skills, and it's a chance to win $5,000. Like, it would be derelict of you not to sign up for this. Like, why wouldn't you sign up for something that's free, that you like basketball, and you can win $5,000? And then thirdly, over at youtube.com/VSiN Live, which is where we're streaming live right now, we've got breakdowns of every single matchup, 60, 90 seconds. You click the button, you get a good handicapping angle. Forget anything there, big guy.
Well, the contest, it takes all of a couple minutes to fill out. You just pick your 20 games for round 1, either the side or the total. Be adults here. You don't just pick who's going to win. Let's use the spread. Let's have some fun. Let's take some chances and win some money.
Our buddy, now, one of our longest standing guests on our program here, whether it be the wrap into VSiN Live, is professional handicapper Scott Spritzer. Doc Sports, DOCSports.com handicapper, at Scott Wins with 2 T's on Twitter. And from sunny Las Vegas, we say, hi, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys, man. I'm 2-0. One was in basketball, Mount St. Mary's, after losing yesterday with the no-show Aztecs. And my other win already, I had a guy, when he saw I was going to be on VSiN again tonight for the Wednesday night weekly show, he goes, let me guess, I'm going to make it minus 350. You're going to be wearing Ralph Lauren polo shirt. And I'm like, dude, that's value. I've got a whole month's supply. I can wear a different one every day. Of course, it's going to be a Ralph Lauren polo shirt. He's going to be happy. I think he laid the 350.
Well, Scott, I'm wearing Ralph Lauren too right now. Here's the reality. Look, are they pricey? Yes. Do they last for freaking ever? Yeah. Also, yes. They never break apart. They never wear down. If I could have a company sponsor me, this would be one of the few companies, so I'm totally with you. Hey, you're 2-0. I know it's not an official play, but we do have a game about to tip off here in about 6 minutes. Xavier laying 2.5, totals 151.5 between these 2 11 seeds. Did you think about making a play here?
I didn't. I had nothing on this game at all. Great. Come on the show, Scott. Talk about games. I got nothing on this one. I've got Bradley. That's my second and final college basketball game tonight. Last check, they were at the half. But I had nothing at all. I mean, I thought these 2 teams are about as evenly matched as it gets. I've got them both power rated around 38th, 39th, in that neighborhood. I think Ken Palm's got them in the low 40s, both teams. I really did. I thought, boy, I don't want to get mixed up in this game, because I really do believe that it's going to be a 50-50 game. The one thing that I liked or didn't like about Xavier was their offensive rebounding. They don't follow their shots well. They do shoot the tray well, which is obviously great. But I worry about them when their shots aren't falling, if they're going to be able to, get a second shot if they go through one of those droughts. But boy, I just thought it was as even Steven as it gets. And I said, this is 50-50 to me, both outright against the spread, whatever you want to call it. And I stayed away from it.
Well, we got the whole squad, the family, everybody. X going to give it to you. So we're laying the 2.5 with Xavier. So if you want to tail and have some fun with us, feel free to do that. Now, you mentioned the no-show Aztecs. What the hell was that? And Dustin made a good point while we were watching that. That's not a team that comes from behind.
Yeah.
So when they fell down early to North Carolina, and North Carolina, maybe you can speak on this as well. Just because they won doesn't mean they deserve to be in the tournament, right. But they literally looked like they had a chip on their shoulder.
They did. And I don't care, from a betting standpoint. Fan standpoint is different, but from a betting standpoint, I don't care who's in the tournament. Throw a spread on it, handicap it. So I wasn't, I don't think North Carolina should have got in, but again, that has nothing to do with my handicapping. I'm looking at the last 10 games, all right, because a lot of people were saying, oh, they did go 8-2. They didn't play anybody in those 8 wins. The only team they played was their 2 losses against the Dukies, right? So I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, you got a coach with San Diego State who's won 7 of his last 9 big dance games the last 2 years. The team's got winning experience. He knows how to get them ready to go. And then they go out there and flop. And you're right. It was like, I turned the game on. It was about 2 minutes into the game. And I think about 4 minutes later, I turned it off. because it was one of those things. If the Aztecs aren't going good early, they ain't going good late. So you might as well stress another game rather than San Diego State trying to come back from a decent deficit.
From a betting perspective, though, Scott, you know how this goes. You've been doing it forever. So all the angles when it came to North Carolina, it was about the motivation and having to hear all the noise. Now you go and look, they win the game. They're after the deliberation being they shouldn't be in the NCAA tournament. They're now favored against Ole Miss in round one. They're laying 1.5. That totals 155.5. Do you believe, even though they haven't been very good, anything can happen? They can go on a run here?
They could, but as of right now, I like Ole Miss a bit in this game. I think, again, the motivation factor, if North Carolina would have been playing, somebody other than a team that has winning experience recently in the Big Dance, again, 7-2, I probably would have completely stayed away from the game. But going up against the Aztecs, even though they're not as good a version as the last 2 years, they were still a good basketball team, extremely well disciplined, all that kind of good stuff. And so I thought, even though there's that extra motivation for UNC, they're not going up against a newbie in the tournament. They're going up against a team that's well seasoned in winning Big Dance games and going very far, as we saw a couple of years ago in the games. But I'm not crazy about coming back in now and backing North Carolina as a favorite against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss has let me down a couple of times this year. But boy, are you going to be able to drum up that mindset, that motivation that you just did from start to finish in one of your best played games you've had all season? Can you do that 48 hours later? I'm not so sure.
I love this comment in the notes, so I'm just going to read it verbatim, and you can take over from there. 9 of the last national champions and 13 of the 14 last national champions have this in common. All right. And 6 teams fit the same formula. 9 of the last national champions and 13 of the last 14. And what is that?
Yeah, and I got to give, first of all, credit where it's due. Good friend of mine for many, many years, Ralph Michaels. I'm sure you guys have heard of him and have followed him. He gathered all this information and sent it to me the other day. And he does this every year. And we've talked about different things that national champions have shared over the course of the decade or 2 decades. So what it is, first of all, is teams that won the national championship each of the last 9 years were rated in the top 22 in both offensive and defensive efficiency at KenPom. Those 6 teams this year are Duke, Florida, Auburn, Houston, Tennessee, and Iowa State. And so what I did to come up with my national champion out of those 6 teams, I eliminated Iowa State right out of the blocks without Gilbert. Everybody's wondering what's wrong with Gilbert. Well, we do know that he's listed as out, and for no particular reason other than some rumors. So we limited Iowa State. And then next up, I looked at Houston, because Houston's a men among boys most nights that they take the floor. Big Kelvin Sampson fan. But they're 268th when it comes to 2-point accuracy. As far as Auburn's concerned, they commit personal fouls, too many. Their backcourt has let them down last couple of Big Dance tourneys. And this year, a lot of the times they're led up court by a freshman point guard in Pettiford, who had a bad SEC tourney. 11 assists, 8 turnovers, 3 of 13 2-pointers. And his last 2 games in the SEC tourney, he goes 1 for 9. I think he's going to be overwhelmed a little bit if they go deep in this tourney. And then I looked at Tennessee. Rick Barnes, 9-6, last 15 Big Dance games. But when they step up well against quality teams, those power rated to the top 30 in the dance, they're 3-4. That left me with the Florida Gators. And I don't find deficiencies and weaknesses with this team like I do the other 5, excuse me. So they face the 17th ranked college basketball schedule. Number 1 seeds, which 4 of them are in this mix, have won 11 of their 12 of the last 12 national titles. Got Florida at plus 380 about 24 hours ago. Again, no weaknesses. And if you want to compare them to Duke, Duke's young. That worries me a little bit. Duke's youth. Also, Duke played about the 56th ranked schedule in college basketball. Not bad, obviously, but not nearly as tough as Florida's. And again, their youth, their lack of experience with Duke is what kind of put it over the top for me to back Florida to win the national title. But yeah, Ralph Michaels does a great job of compiling all that stuff. And I want to say thanks to Ralph, if he's listening, for sending that to me every Big Dance.
Yeah, he's a legend. And Florida's super balanced. And I thought what they did to Alabama in that game, that was a clinic, man.
Yeah.
That showed you just how different they are as programs, where Alabama is so reliant on the three and the shooting, and Florida's saying, well, whatever style of fight you want, we're built for that.
Yeah.
So you took a couple shots at some of the 1 seeds in there. I think I heard 3 of them that you see some flaws in. You mentioned in your notes the number 1 seed with the last chance to make the worst chance to make the Final Four. Who is that team?
I'm going with the Auburn Tigers as being the first team that gets knocked out. And the thing is like, although Florida and Duke might have the toughest roads in the Final Four, Auburn might have to play Louisville close to home. They're 70 miles away in Lexington in round 2. If they survive and reach the Elite 8, they could very well be playing Michigan State. And I've got Michigan State, by the way, winning that region, going to the Final Four. And in that matchup with Tom Izzo, if they were to match up with the Spartans, as of March 19th, as of tonight, I'd back Sparty right now against the Auburn Tigers. And again, it has a lot to do with that backcourt. The past couple of years when they have lost in the dance, it's been kind of a weak backcourt, relatively speaking to what they've done during the regular season as far as their play in the dance. And again, you're talking about a point guard. They're going to come after, a freshman point guard. They're going to come after him quite a bit. And I think, I talked on a couple of shows, what number 1 seed do you think gets knocked out before the Final Four? And I keep coming back to the Auburn Tigers, as much as I liked that team over the course of the year.
Yeah, lost 3 or 4 coming in. I thought when I looked initially at the draw, I thought they kind of got screwed as the number 1 overall seed. I would agree. Which one did you say, Dustin?
For the number 1 seeds, it was actually Florida for me, but that's because I'm being a contrarian. I think they're good. I didn't like their draw because I don't like their region. I just think they have too many elite head coaches down there in that region.
Fair enough.
And you're not going to be surprised if any of these teams come through. If this kid Pettiford comes out there and he plays with that next level of opponent and he's got his composure, then Auburn can go a ways. But we'll be looking at opposite things on Florida. We'll be rooting for opposite things there with the Florida Gators.
Well, if we're doing stats, let me read this. This was from Chris Felica, who does a great job with historic stats. I don't know why this shocked me, fellas, when I read it earlier. At least one double-digit seed has reached the Sweet 16 in 16 straight years and 37 of the last 39 years.
Wow.
That's like, that lets you know, if you're just going to go chalks, a double-digit seed has reached the Sweet 16 in 37 of the last 39 years, just to give you an idea. That was a pretty crazy one.
Yeah.
Let's jump into Creighton and Louisville. Some people thought Louisville maybe was, at 8. Maybe they should have been shorter as far as their ranking. But a good matchup here with Louisville laying 2.5.
I thought both of these teams got a little jobbed on where they were seated. Louisville opened 3, as you guys know, dropped to 1, now back up to 2.5. So both teams are jobbed a little bit. Creighton was big time jobbed, having to play in Lexington, right down the road, hour and a half drive, less than that, from Louisville, from their campus. The thing about the Blue Jays, and I'm from Omaha. When I allow myself to be a fan, I root for the Blue Jays. Unfortunately, my job says you can't be a fan. So they shoot well, but they don't get to the free throw line. They've got serious turnover issues on both ends of the court. And then they've got, the point guard Ashworth, the transfer from last year, 2 years ago. He's got a 22% turnover rate. Defensively, they're 361st out of 364 teams in forcing turnovers. They struggle on the offensive glass. Again, they shoot well, but when they miss, they go into big time droughts over, several minutes of stretches where they don't score because they don't get second chances. They don't hit the glass like you think they would with a guy like Kalkbrenner and his size on the offensive end. They've seen multiple players go down this year, and it started with Pop Isaacs. I think it was late November, early December, key cog to this basketball team. And now they might be without, Fedor Zugic. He hurts his ankle this past weekend in the Big East tournament. He's the one guy on this team that every scout says is legitimate future NBA player in a couple of years, and they may not have him. And if they do have him, he might be much less than 100% on that ankle. And Louisville can't match Creighton's front court. I get that with Kalkbrenner when he's on, but the Cards turn teams over. They hit the glass well. I just mentioned those are 2 deficiencies for the Jays. And Louisville holds teams to 48% 2-point shooting. And that's where Creighton does its damage this year. So I think Creighton's issues or deficiencies are matched up against what Louisville does well. And that's why I like the Cardinals here minus the 2.5, guys.
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you. It's one of my favorite plays to start this thing off. I love that backcourt for Louisville. They have experienced guards that have been through it before. And Creighton's a team I've had tickets on the last few years, and it feels like they just always let me down when I need them. So I'm with you. I laid it with Louisville. Let's go down to the East, the Midwest. 3-14 matchup, Kentucky and Troy. This one's up to 11.5. Wildcats are laying it. Totals 151.5. Scott cross covers. That's been a theme of our guy Mike Randall, who comes on the show when it comes to Troy. But on the other side, you've got Kentucky and Mark Pope, who's proven he's a really, really good coach. What are you going to do with this matchup?
Yeah, I'm laying with the Wildcats. I like going against mid-majors who had to go on a big winning streak to get to the dance, win their conference tourney, cover as many games as they won, the whole shebang. Troy's 6-0 straight up and against the spread since February 22nd. And during this run, they've gone from 111th to 98th in their power rating, even though 5 of those 6 teams they beat, are power rated 159th to 328. This team has 2 wins all season against a team power rated inside the top 115. Both of those wins came against the same team, Arkansas State. And I can't say how much I like to look to go against these teams that had to win 5-6 games in a row and covered all of them while doing so to get where they are in the opening round. So yeah, the point spread is the great equalizer. You got to win by 12 or more where the number currently sits. But the Trojans are 0-2 straight up and against the spread this year when they were a dog of more than 10 and less than 27. They lost those 2 games by 18.5 points per game. As far as this actual matchup, guys, Troy shoots a lot of threes and they miss a lot of threes. They're also 333rd in offensive turnover percentage, and they're bad on the defensive glass. Now they got to stay within 12 points against a team that's 8th in Kentucky in both points per 100 possessions. I shouldn't say in both, but they're 8th in points per 100 possessions. And I don't think that Troy's going to be able to keep up with this team. I just happen to think they're overvalued. I really do. You look at who they've beaten, and it's been nobody except Ark State all year long. And, again, the 6-game winning streak came against some Sisters of the Poor. They should have beat all 6 of those teams. They're power rated. They're better than all 6 of those teams. They just did what they were supposed to. And I think now they have a tough time hanging around with Kentucky.
We should mention we're tipping off there, I believe, in Dayton. Yeah. Xavier, about a 49-mile drive to get to this matchup against Texas. Texas, of course, is not very close to Ohio last time I checked. Xavier ended up closing 2.5. We'll keep you updated with the play in between the 2-11 seeds, Xavier and Texas. Scott Spritzer joins us, great friend of the show for many, many years, professional handicapper there, of course, in Las Vegas, Doc Sports, DOCsports.com. Now, this one's not officially on your list, but I'm just going to ask you about it because it's one of the matchups that everybody's obsessed with, and that's Drake, Missouri. Disparate styles, obviously, with Drake being one of the slower teams in the country, and Missouri wants to go very efficient offense. McCollum is a huge storyline because he may end up getting from Drake, obviously. He may end up getting that Iowa job. Missouri's laying 6.5. Did you look at this game at all? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, guys, I lean Mizzou a little bit here. I really do believe that Drake has overachieved a little bit this season. And I'm a big Drake guy. I go back with him, guy by the name of Lewis Lloyd. Look him up if you're under 50 with the Drake Bulldogs. And I've been a fan ever since, the guys from Des Moines. But I do think they've overachieved a bit this year. They've won 7 in a row, by the way, to get here. Would have been in any way before that. But the bottom line is they had to win 7 in a row. As far as Mizzou is concerned, they're not super quick, elite level as far as their tempo, but they're not slow either. And so Drake's going to try to throw that wrench into the system. They are dead last in adjusted tempo, 364th. So they're going to try to slow things down. But they turned the ball over a lot, which is kind of crazy. I guess there's 2 ways to think about that as I'm talking off the top of my head here about Drake. 2 ways to think about how bad they are with offensive turnover percentages. One is that they play so darn slow, they're making a ton of passes every time they have the ball. The other one is, man, you got to be better in turnover percentage on offense when you're barely moving the ball around. And that's the Drake Bulldogs. They don't defend inside the arc very well. Again, it's a team that I think has overachieved a bit, guys. So I lean to Missouri in this one. And I know I'm going against an awful lot of people here.
Yeah, everyone knows you're a big Drake fan. You're the one who put me onto God's plan. Everyone knows that. That's an inside joke that only Patrick's going to get.
Okay.
So you talked about Drake, and this has been my transition all week, and I'm sorry to the audience if I'm being annoying. but Drake is super trendy. The other super trendy team is UC San Diego.
Oh,
and full disclosure, I love them, Scott.
Right.
So I'm so bothered that everyone else is also on them, but it all adds up, and it scares the living crap out of me because everyone wants to bet UC San Diego taking on Michigan. They're catching 2.5 in this one. If you were going to bet this one, how much would the public perception play a role in that, and what would you actually do with the game?
All I can tell you is that when I first started doing this, I would have probably, if I liked this game, if I liked San Diego, I would have probably passed because I would have been freaked out, 30 years ago, 25 years ago by everybody being on the same side. And now it's like, I just got to not even care. It's if I like the side, I'm going with it, no matter if the public's on it or not. And you got to be cautious. It's always better to be with it feels better at least to be with the sharps. But I always say the public wins 50% of the time too. The problem is you got to win 52.3% of the time to make it or to break even. And so it doesn't affect what I land on. It is there in my mind. I haven't pulled the trigger on this one yet, Dustin, because like you, it almost feels too easy. I lost with Michigan last week against Maryland. I had them in that second to last game of the tournament. And I'm sitting in a restaurant and I'm watching. You can't eat when you're watching games in a restaurant. No. You just can't. It's stressful. Anyway, I lose that game after Maryland came back. It looked like they were gonna cover. But the bottom line is that I don't trust Michigan, man. I really don't. So I lean UC San Diego with you. They've got arguably one of the top 6 coaches in college basketball that's coaching that basketball team. The scary part is Michigan's size. If UC San Diego can hang with that, but they like to win with their guards. If they're shooting well, they've got a real good chance to pull the win out here against the Michigan Wolverines. So it's my hee-hawing away about saying I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I like your side.
Yeah, Michigan's got the 2 bigs, but they're so loose with the ball.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned the great coaching there, UC San Diego. I'm fascinated by that matchup. I would agree. Last one for you, Oklahoma, UConn. So this one is right now 5.5-ish with UConn laying it, 147.5 on the total, Scott.
Yeah, I seem to bounce it around 5.5, 6, 5, 5.5 in that neighborhood. When the matchups came out, obviously like UC San Diego against Michigan is very intriguing just from an interest standpoint. The one that jumped out at me also for different reasons is UConn, Oklahoma. This game really caught my eye and I jumped in right away. If you look at this contest, you got the Sooners who are obviously 6-12 in conference play, 7-13 since they started 13-0. That 13-0 start came against the 319th ranked non-conference schedule. They might not have Sam Godwin for this game. He's listed as questionable. And he's OU's only starter who's bigger than 6'6". They got a couple of bigger guys that come off the bench, but Godwin's the key as far as their top guys, and he's the only starter, again, who's got the size. UConn, I want to see the intriguing part of UConn for me. I want to see what the best March coach over the last decade can do with this team, with Dan Hurley. He spent, last week talking about 50% of his roster is entertaining the thoughts of potentially transferring when he was firing away against Nil. He's the hothead, of course, of college basketball, biggest hothead since Bobby Knight. You can see crowds get under his skin when they chant, Hurley's angry, when he's looking ticked on the sideline. I think it does bother him. They looked like they were coming around. They had won 5 in a row. They get beat by 9 by Creighton at MSG, but it's a much more talented roster. UConn should be fine. And I jumped on him right up. It was the first bet I made, guys. UConn minus the points over Oklahoma. I just don't trust this Sooner team when you got Dan Hurley focused on March Madness.
Yeah, and who knows if they turn it on and make a run, right? That's always the fears because a lot of those guys have been through it a couple times. They have won back-to-back rings. So I totally get where you're coming from there, Scott. So earlier in the show, we were talking about coming to Vegas for this event, right? And a lot of people talk about the Super Bowl, but the people who are out here who've done it, they know how awesome this event is. Take us through what the day is like for you, someone, a professional who's been doing this forever. Do you still get juiced up for Thursday and Friday, the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament?
I'll tell you the difference between now and when I first got started in this 28, 30 years ago when I was like 21. The difference is now we have apps. We have sports betting apps. I don't have to go anywhere. That's a good thing. The other thing is I get juiced, no doubt about it, but the juice is kept under control to where I don't go overboard on Thursday. And the difference between now and 30 years ago, I'll tell you a real quick story. There was a guy in our business, my age, by the name of Greg Daraban, who passed away a few years ago from cancer, and just a great guy, super good guy, better, handicapper, the whole thing. We were close. We're meeting at Caesars in like 1990. We're meeting there at 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure we get seats. Caesars is packed, not a seat at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was a young kid. I couldn't walk up to the sports book director and go, hey, can you fit us in somewhere? They had no clue who I was. I had my hair down halfway down my back. Nobody's going to give me a seat. So, Greg, I'll meet you at Westgate, which back then was the Las Vegas Hilton. I'll meet you at the LVH. Let's go over there. We got there. It's about 6:45. Wow, 2 seats. Cool. Back of the book. No problem. I'm juiced. He's juiced. I go up there. I go like 0-4 on the early games. I have to run to the freaking bank. That's how bad it was back then. Run to the bank, get some more money, come back, go like 0-2. Run to the bank again, come back, bet the NBA. Didn't get out of the hole, but went like 3-1. That's the difference between now and then. First of all, I'm a better handicapper than I was back then, and I'm a hell of a lot better than I was back then. You know, there's been Thursdays over the last 5 years where I've got 1 or 2 bets, and that's it. Maybe some in-game stuff. I get to sit in the comfort of my home with 3 computers, couple of TVs, and the phone for the apps. So much better these days.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that with the hair down and back in the day, I don't think you could afford quite the nice house that you're sitting in now.
Not unless I know how to play guitar, you know.
things have. You know what? You brought up the coach there at UC San Diego. So Eric Olin. So this is fascinating, boys. How has he not gotten? Maybe he just UC San Diego. Maybe he just wants to live there. He's 44 years old. He's been the coach there since 13-14, and he's won 1 billion games.
So here's why. He took them through their transition to Division I. They've only recently become eligible for the tournament. So I think he was seeing that whole thing through, and he now has a team that's competing, but he's definitely not going to be there much longer.
We want him here in Vegas. I just don't know if Vegas is attractive anymore. I don't know if he's attractive. I mean, I don't know if Vegas is attractive to him. You know, he might be able to hold out for something a little bit bigger. But I'm telling you right now, we're putting out, you know, the feelers. All of us in Vegas are saying, let's go get him, man. Let's get him after this year. And I didn't look today, but I don't believe anybody's been named as a new head coach yet for UNLV. But this is the kind of guy that can bring some energy. And the Kruger family is a great family, guys. I'm bummed it didn't work out for Kevin Kruger. They are a great family, community family in Las Vegas. Everybody loves them, but they had no identity. Zero identity under Kruger. They had to make the change.
Well, it's funny you said that. We can end with this because we were talking to Jonathan Von Tobel last week, and Dustin and Jonathan were talking about how UNLV should be a powerhouse in basketball, and I'm like, should they be, boys? Because, and you could speak to it because you were there for the Tark era, where it took over not just the city, the nation. What has transpired, and is it still a desirable spot?
I don't know if it's desirable anymore. It's going to take a personality. You know, Patino actually came here. His wife, you know, what it was about a decade ago at least, his wife was shopping for houses, and all of a sudden he decided to turn it down. And that would have got them right back on track as he wins no matter where he goes. I don't know if it's a sexy spot anymore, and it hasn't been for a long time. Bill Bano had a chance to really be big in this town, and he had his off-court problems, and he ended up having to stop coaching, and then he became the coach at LMU, and more problems off the court, and that was that. And we all wish him well. I think he's an assistant somewhere now, but it hasn't been sexy. It was Tark, the biggest mistake UNLV made. And gosh, we all knew it right out of the blocks. The fans who really followed it more than in general was Rolly Massimino. He was at the end of his career. The shot clock had come into play. When he won a national title at Villanova, they had no shot clock, and all they did was pass the ball around midcourt. He comes to town. They go from the running Rebels to the extremely slow-playing, boring Rebels, and they lost that mystique of we're going to score 100 points per game, three-point line or not. So it's going to be tough, and they only get 5,000 people out there a night at the Thomas and Mack. I saw games this year that were 4,200 people in an 18,500 seat arena. You got to win. So this guy could come into town and change things right away. They got to get a personality. And right now, you've got the pro sports, and you've got Dan Mullen coaching the football team. 40,000 people showing up for football at UNLV. You know, they used to show up 15,000. Now it's 40 last year. So they got a lot to compete with. Got to get a big personality.
Great call. Mullen's a big name. Like,
Yeah.
That transitioning from, why is his name slipping my mind, Dustin?
Wait, who was the UNLV coach they just fired? Why can't I remember?
Oh, the
either?
Purdue coach?
Oh, they didn't fire him. He got a better
Odom.
job.
Yeah, Barry Odom got a better
Yeah.
job. Yeah. It was Arroyo before.
Odom got a better job. But the point is, remember, that's been quite a glow up for the football program because they hired the local high school coach legend,
Right.
and then they hired the kid that didn't work out, the assistant
Arroyo.
from Oregon, and
Yeah.
then they go Odom. Odom did a good job at Missouri. Odom did an amazing job at UNLV. He flipped it. But then they bring in Mullen. So that tells you that the status of the program has risen because Mullen, pretty big name after Mississippi State than Florida.
It would also be real nice if they could get what they really, truly want, whether they say it or not, and get taken up in the Big 12. The Mountain West, after the Mountain West, some of those teams go off to the new Pac-12, whatever they're going to call it. UNLV keeps saying they're staying in the Mountain West. You're going to battle Hawaii. Great. That's not a draw. So I know deep down, especially last year after beating 2 Big 12 teams on the road, Kansas and Houston in football, there's a whole lot of talk about, boy, we'd love to be in the Big 12. I just don't know if it's going to happen. That would help. But, there's talk about Reggie Theus coming back. He's part of the Hardway 8 in the late 70s. That was a team that averaged 108 points per game, and there was no three-point line in the late 70s before I got here. So, but the problem with Reggie, who's a Bethune-Cookman, he's almost 70. So that's why I think they got to look at a guy like you've got at UC San Diego, a couple of Big West coaches that are young, up and coming, and go after them and offer them everything they can to get them to move up here. And I think you're talking about a coach with San Diego who could turn around UNLV within a couple of years.
I mean, is there, with the commitment to football in Mullen, is there maybe a chance the athletic department has shifted focus and they're now a football school?
They claim they don't have much money. I mean, the Nevada, Reno, and UNLV systems are saying they don't have a lot of money right now in the athletic program. And, you fire Kevin Kruger the day after there's an article that comes out that says how, in the hole they are or whatever. Maybe not in the hole, but they don't have a lot left. So, boy, and your question about do they become a football school? They're getting teams to come here now. 40,000 seat, a 65,000 seat stadium. UCLA, I'll be at that game this year against UCLA. I don't know if basketball can keep up, and they can't afford 2 more bad seasons. They might as well play in the Cox Pavilion, and I'm not kidding. That holds what, maybe 2,500, 3,000 people?
Yeah.
It's like a Big West arena now.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, Barry Odom, of course, flipped. He did a great job at UNLV, flipped it to Purdue to go get Big Ten money. And, whatever you think about Purdue, Tiller won there. But it's really just about the money that you
know what Tark said a couple years before he left the program? They were talking about the fan support, 18,500 a day. Guys, when they played David Robinson in Navy, and Navy was like 5th, and UNLV was number 1 in the nation. I was a kid, obviously. I was, 20 years old or whatever. And you had to buy tickets out front from scalpers. There were no tickets available. So you bought from scalpers. They're all hovering around the parking lot. Me and a couple of buddies were sitting in the aisle at the top of the arena in between the seat sections for David Robinson against UNLV. That's how much interest it was. And they were talking about the fan support. And maybe he was talking to Dickie V at the time. Those two were close. And Tark said, you give us back-to-back losing seasons and we won't get 10,000 in this arena. And he called it. They can't get 5,000.
That's incredible. It's a great breakdown. UNLV, Las Vegas, with our buddies. Been living out there for a long time. Scott Spritzer. Make sure you go give him a follow for the tournament, of course, at Scott Wins on Twitter. Check out the picks, docsports.com, docsports.com. Scott, great job. Enjoy the basketball and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Good luck.
You too. And it looks good in the polo. When we come back, we got the media roundup and your calls. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Rejoin. We'll get Smash or Pass coming up here in just a bit. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Oh my God, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We're going to be live from the Win tomorrow in Vegas. We were just talking. Maybe I'm leaving too late. I'm going to leave at like 8 a.m. I figure as long as I get there at 1. 5 hours?
No, you'll be fine. It won't take 5. It won't take 5. Your biggest hurdle is just getting out of LA, and then you're just, it's a straight shot from there.
Yeah, we'll see. But if you're around, if like our buddy Tommy and others that may be making a trip to Vegas, or you're in Vegas, we'll be at the Win doing the show 4 to 7, obviously Thursday and Friday, so feel free to stop by. Let's say hi here on VSiN Live. A man that's very excited that Dustin has a future ticket on Maryland basketball. That is Hayden. What's up, Hayden? No, this is Hogan. I'm sorry. Hogan in Hyde Park. Hi, Hogan.
Hey, man. How are you doing?
Good, Hogan. What's up, buddy?
I'm just getting ready for the dance. I'm excited. Very excited.
Give us a team. Give us a team that if you have your Final Four, if you can remember it, give it to us.
I got Florida. I got, obviously, Duke. I got, I went Michigan State.
Nice.
And what's the Auburn bracket?
That's Michigan State.
Auburn bracket. That's Michigan State. So you got Michigan State coming out of the Auburn bracket.
And then the other bracket is Alabama number 1.
No, Houston. The Houston bracket.
Yes, I got Houston taking that.
Yeah, I love Houston. I agree.
It's still in my head. It's still in my head, boys. I'm not finalizing it yet. I'm trying to get all
it's all good.
From you basketball nerds. Would you say something if you love the dance and you guys are talking about watching it in Vegas? Is that like a party? Is that like something, if you're better, that you have to do it once in your life if you can afford it?
Yeah.
I'm
not even a social person, Hogan, but it's electric. It's so much fun.
So do they have like both? They have obviously huge. I could see it, big huge screens with every game on it. Yada yada.
Oh, you got. I mean, it's completely sensory overload in the best way possible. You've got games on all over the place. You've got energy, you've got the books, you've got lights. It's just, it's something Dustin said bucket list. I agree. I think bucket list.
I mean, and of course, I would assume alcohol as well.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. If you go to a casino in Vegas, especially at that time, it doesn't matter if you're there at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. The same amount of booze is flowing.
Oh, boy. Okay, quick trivia fact. Do you know what coach hated the 4 corners and it was pivotal to getting that shot clock put in?
Who's that?
Lefty Drizel.
Oh, Maryland.
I grew up. Yes, I grew up down there, and Lefty. I'm not that old, but I do. I've watched the documentary, but he hated that. I don't know if it was NC State. I think it was in Carolina. It's one of the Carolina teams that ran it off, and he despised it. He went nuts. he was a proponent to get that changed.
Hey, Lefty that's a good one, Hogan, and make it out to Vegas if you can. Lefty was a legend at Maryland. And then I don't know if he followed him directly, but obviously Gary Williams won a national championship at Maryland with Steve Blake. And who am I forgetting? Your boy.
Steve Francis, Steve Blake, Grievous Vasquez. Oh, no, that might have been after him.
I'm thinking about the other guard that was Blake, and he went on to coach in college. He had some issues, though.
Oh, I don't remember. It was Dean Smith who ran the 4 corners. Dean Smith.
There you go. Man, Lefty was a legend, though. Maryland.
By the way, lived to 92 years old.
Lefty? That's a good run. It's a good run if you can make it.
Yeah, it's a cool nickname, too. I assume he was a lefty. I can't be called lefty because there's only one thing I do left-handed, and I'm told I'm not allowed to speak about it anymore on the radio.
Did your girlfriend tell you? Did our bosses tell you?
Adults just told me it's not appropriate.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with those adults. Texas is up 23-17 over Xavier, 10:41 to play. So we're going to need the family play to pick it up a little bit here. When we come back, we've got Smash or Pass, and we're going to close tabs. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Heart wants. Wink. Will tonight be the night yours finds the perfect match? It's time for Smash or Pass.
It is time. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. By the way, just what the NBA needs. The Nuggets are at the Lakers tonight. No LeBron James, no Jokic, no Murray. The NBA. It's fantastic.
Man, it's on
Think about
ESPN.
that matchup with, I know. Think about that matchup though with Luka there. If everybody was healthy, it's like everything you hope for. And we knew LeBron was going to be out, but just ruled out Jokic and Murray.
Yeah, you know how I know that impacts not just betting markets, but other areas of the game? According to what I'm seeing here, tickets as low as $62 for Nuggets Lakers. If those guys are playing, it's probably double the price.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right, let's get to Smash or Pass. We'll close tabs on the way out here. By the way, Texas all over Xavier to start. 32-21, 7:33 to play in the first.
So first one up here in Smash or Pass. You just tell me if you're going to smash or pass what I'm throwing at you. I'm looking at these future odds for the national championship, and I just don't understand what we're doing here. Duke's the favorite at plus 320. Florida's down to plus 380. Auburn's 4-1. Then you have to make a massive jump to Houston 6-1. Houston 6-1 is way too long to win the title. We have to bet this. Smash or pass?
Oh, 100% smash. I've been on it. Again, this is a program that's made it as far as the Final Four, the Elite Eight, and Sweet 16 over the past 5 seasons. And they now have scorers that they lacked in the past, including L.J. Cryer. So I love this team. I love Calvin Sampson. I love their defense. I loved what they did against BYU, where they said BYU, a great three-point shooting team, and BYU couldn't score a bucket because it was a statement game for Houston. They've got men, as you know. I love Houston in the tournament.
Okay, I'm with you. So we're betting that's going to be the family play for a future then. So we'll lock that in before things tip off tomorrow, and we'll be sweating the Cougs to cut down the nets at the end of the season. All right,
Hey, congratulations, by the way.
Why?
You just said the Cougs without making a Cougar joke.
Well, yeah, my girlfriend will be a Cougar in about 10 years, so we have to get there.
You've matured.
Yeah, we have to get there.
You go.
Let's see. Speaking of long numbers, that's not really a good transition, but we're going to do it anyway. I was looking up some of the stats when it comes to 14 seeds. A 14 seed has won a first-round game in 20 of the 39 tournaments since 1985. 20 of 39. You can get plus 185. Will a 14 seed win a game at yes, plus 185? Do you smash or pass?
So here's what we have. We've got
Lipscomb.
Lipscomb over Iowa State potentially. Iowa State without their senior point guard, obviously. NC Wilmington over Texas Tech. I'm at 2 no's, big guy. The third, well, let's see what we have out east. Out east, we have Montana over Wisconsin. Montana's very good.
Well, and Wisconsin's in a really difficult travel situation where they had to play all those games in the Big Ten tournament. They had to travel back home, find out they were in it, and now they go to altitude in Denver. That could bring the playing levels back to even there.
And then Troy and Kentucky. Smash. One of those 14 seeds is going to win.
Let's go.
And I think it's going to be Montana.
I hope so. I hope someone does. I just want the chaos. I want everything to be a mess tomorrow. Okay, next one up here, smash or pass. It is better to be a morning person than a night person. Smash or pass?
Well, I'm only a morning person. The nights just don't work for me. So if we're just going selfish, like what works for me, smash.
No, because so I am more of a night person, but I have forced myself over like the last few months to become a morning person. I feel so much more accomplished getting stuff done in the morning before everyone else is like getting their day started. I'm finding forcing yourself to be a morning person is significantly better than being a night person.
So you are smashing on waking up early.
I don't like it. I hate it. I'm exhausted. I never feel good. But the reality is at the end of the day, being able just to relax and not worry about anything, significantly better.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Smash. What's next?
Okay, the next one up here. Let's see. The number for ACC wins is 7.5. Over -105. It's juiced to the under. But if North Carolina gets hot, Duke does what they're expected to do. If Louisville can go on a run, Clemson win a few games, should be able to go over that 7.5 wins. Smash or pass?
Louisville's going to win one at least.
Yep.
Clemson, McNeese State, that one's a very fast. I don't know if that's a lock, but Brownell had a run last year. Let's go ahead and say Clemson at least wins one.
Yep.
North Carolina have already won one.
Oh, you're right.
They're favored. They're favored. Or who's North Carolina?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. They can beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss doesn't have a ton of size. And then Duke. I'm going over 7.5.
Look, I think Louisville goes on a run. I think Louisville's going to be a challenge for Auburn. I shouldn't say they'll go on a run because they have Auburn in the second round. They're going to be a challenge for Auburn. Clemson's capable of making a run. I don't want to count out North Carolina because they're playing with house money, and then Duke's going to do it. Duke's going to end up being in the Final Four. So I do think the over is the play there.
Yeah, over 7.5 wins for the ACC, who has been just absolutely a terrible conference and league all year, but I do like the over 7.5 there.
All right, you want to close some tabs?
Yeah, let's close tabs before we get out of here. What do we have?
All right, last segment. The Maryland player you couldn't name on that national championship team was Juan Dixon, the most outstanding player in 2002.
Yeah, Juan Dixon was a great basketball player. He was next to Steve Blake in that backcourt for Gary Williams. Won a national championship. Juan Dixon went on to coach. I can't remember the school that he coached at, but he had some issues. Coppin State. He had some issues. You can Google it. Not great. What else in closing tabs?
Okay, you mentioned Dave Stewart, him throwing you a baseball at a game, so I just asked AI to tell me a little bit about Dave Stewart. Quote, Dave Stewart, a legendary Oakland Athletics pitcher, was known for his intimidating presence and scary stare on the mound.
Dave Stewart was the baddest man on the planet. A's pitcher. He had such intensity about him. And then that's why when we were yelling his name, he turned around and he pointed to us. We got nervous, and then he threw us a ball. So he ended up being a nice guy.
All right, next thing in closing tabs, I just want to co-sign what you said. Hillary Robinson eventually became Hillary Robinson Pete, hanging with Mr. Cooper, 21 Jump Street, For Your Love. At a time in my life where I was first understanding things about women, she played a vital role in me understanding I preferred women.
Wait, but you said it's Holly Robinson, right?
Holly Robinson. Yeah, Holly Robinson.
Holly Robinson Pete. Yeah. Oh, but hanging with Mr. Cooper.
All time.
Yeah, she is. Hey, before we get out of here, I want to let everybody know, again, you still have a little bit of time, but it's absolutely free to sign up for the bracket challenge over at VSiN.com. It's our March bracket challenge. So, again, this is free, and $5,000 is on the line. Go to VSiN.com/contest, and then we also have our VSiN's March Mania betting guide. You can sign up to become a VSiN Pro for $9.99. But again, that bracket challenge is completely free. So go to VSiN.com/bracket, sign up. It's stupid not to because it's a chance to win, of course, as I mentioned, $5,000. All right, got time for one more tab. What do you got?
Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1860. Probably not alive. William Jennings Bryan. Your thoughts on him?
He was a Democrat, always in the mix for the presidency, but never. He was a great speaker, great public speaker, kind of irreverent type of human, but never could get over the hump.
Okay, let me sneak one more in. On this day in 1931, Nevada legalized gambling, which paved the way for casinos in the state of Las Vegas, where you will be coming tomorrow.
That's tremendous. And if you're in town, 37-28 Texas leads, by the way. If you're in town, stop by and say hello to me and the big guy. We're going to be at the SiriusXM studios at the Wynn tomorrow. Great job, Dustin. Naya, thank you. Ryan, thank you. Be sure to go to VSiN Live on YouTube. Hit a subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We'll see you tomorrow.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.